And welcome back.
Welcome, everybody,
Welcome
to
to
a very special, very sad part of the One Piece live read discussion series. This will be the last full section that we
the
have
last full
before catching up.
section and the last section before catching up. Not even like we've got two sections for an unfinished arc. We've got one section. This is
hmm
the penultimate discussion for me going through One Piece blind when I did. And
For this
then,
sort of format that we'll be doing.
yeah, and then, I don't know if we're gonna be doing discussions every I don't know, 15 plus weeks when a section has lengthened enough, there's more to talk about. So
It
this
just feels
might
like it might
be
be too long, but we'll figure that
we'll
out
see.
off off
This
screen,
yeah,
off
off
camera.
screen, off camera, but this is the penultimate discussion for One Piece as it stands at the current moment in real time, which is
Yep.
exciting and scary, and I cannot believe we've made it here in only half a year,
Yeah.
which feels like a long time and feels like no time at all.
Exactly.
But what a fucking section to do as the
What
penultimate
a
section,
section.
right?
Cause
The
oh my
holy
god.
shit. The finale of Egghead. It is a good thing you were not reading this weekly while we were in like
Oh my,
Dressrosa.
yeah. We talked about this a little bit earlier on in the week. If I was reading this section weekly, I would have gone fucking mad. I would have gone insane.
Yeah.
Getting the Vegapunk message weekly, because it's spread out over multiple chapters.
Yeah, it's like half this section.
Yeah, and so having to read that shit weekly would have killed me. I would have died.
But this section is crazy. It's got a lot of big
hmm
reveals about the world itself and the people
Yeah.
within it. And a lot of things that happened that I was not expecting to happen for a while. Cough, cough, elders. Um, and I love it, and I'm so excited. So, like,
Yep.
are we ready to jump in? Unless we have more to
Let's
talk about
just do
before we
it.
start, because this
No,
is gonna be a
no,
dense
I
one,
think
I
let's
think.
just do it.
So let's just go. We were already sort of talking a little before starting. So to clarify, this is chapters 1105 to 1123, correct? 23.
Yes. Yep.
Which is right after the Kuma backstory to the end of Egghead.
hmm
So we're picking up after the start of the Buster Call and getting to sort of
Yes.
see the Straw Hats and the Vegapunks and everybody reacting to, oh shit, a Buster Call is about to happen.
Crazy that the
Um,
Buster Call is not the most dangerous thing happening on this island.
no, well, I mean, maybe it is when it gets called.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not too long until
But it
the
very, very quickly becomes like an
un,
afterthought.
until it becomes kind of not a big deal. But it is fun.
Uh-huh.
I really like, and this is something that pops up throughout the section that pops up first here. I love, and the Straw Hats are very understated in this arc, but I love that they're all caring for Robin in this arc, in this
Yeah.
section. Like they're all, because I guess she got injured during the murder mystery part of the story, and seeing the way that the Straw Hats, and this comes up more later when they go up against even bigger threats, are like putting their everything to make sure that Robin is okay during what for her I imagine is an incredibly traumatic experience.
Right?
Having just
Her
learned that like
third Buster Call.
going through her third Buster Call with even bigger, scarier threats all targeting her friends and her specifically.
And her specifically.
Like this is the third time that a Buster Call has been dropped in large part because she is there.
Right.
So I really love seeing that the crew cares so much.
hmm There's a lot
Especially
of good small crew member moments in this section of the
yeah,
crew helping each other out and just
yeah.
like
I think the
showing their
crew
sort of like effortless the way they effortlessly work together in this section is really great.
yeah, since the because obviously this section is so focused on Bonnie and Kuma and Vegapunk and all the crazy revelations about the world and like the elders
hmm
that there's not really a lot of room for the Straw Hats to do stuff because is as long as this arc is this is a very compact arc. Like
Exactly. We
shit
we talked about this a
happens
little bit in the beginning in the first section. of just like how quickly shit starts popping off in
Yeah,
this
like shit
arc,
is
especially when
happening
compared to
all the time.
something like Wano.
Yeah, one or like Dressrosa, where there's a lot of time to
Yeah,
like get to stuff. Like Egghead is 80 chapters, and that is the shortest it could have been.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, and I guess this also comes up later, but I'm going to mention it now. I really like that the main group of Straw Hats that are protecting Robin are the group that are typically considered the weakest. I think it
Yeah, the
is
weekly
is
trio.
nice that it's the weakling trio plus Brooke, and then
Hmm.
I just like I like that there is. It's nice to see one the weakling trio get to do stuff, and two it's cool to see them protecting another member of the crew,
Yeah, exactly.
especially
Because even
after.
though they are like the quote unquote weaklings, they're still absolute powerhouses at this
Yeah,
point in the
they're
story.
powerhouses at this point, and they do very briefly go up against people who are unbelievably powerful, and it's really cool to see like
Yeah,
the four of them together kind of lock in to protect Robin, which I really enjoy.
exactly. Yeah, it's really
Especially
good.
after last section where and by last section I mean Wano, when like Chopper and
Hmm.
Nami and Usopp wouldn't even get off the boat.
Right.
Or like we were still having I can't go to that island disease pop up. It's nice to
Dude,
see
he's
them
gotta
like
once that's really the last disease that Chopper's gonna have to cure. Once he
so
becomes the world's
true.
greatest doctor, is curing Usopp's I can't go to that islanditis.
Yeah, he can't be the cure-all doctor without curing I can't go to that island disease. It's terminal.
It's terminal,
It's
bro.
terminal. Um
Uh, we
and
then get
I
a small section. I guess we're just sort of moving into plot stuff.
yeah, moving into plot stuff as basically the whole island is set to take out Bonnie. And they're
Yes.
really focused on like getting Bonnie out of the picture as fast as possible, which I think is sort of interesting. Because prior to us learning that she has this like mega control, which is really cool, like we have no idea that she is like because it's weird that I mean I don't know, maybe it was me weird to me initially that the people like the
Yeah,
elders were so focused on getting rid of Bonnie, because like it makes sense that they don't want her to get away, I guess, but like why is she a bigger target than like Luffy?
I feel like my theory is that it has something to do with the experiments that uh Garcia Saturn was doing on Guinea and then her
That's
by
very
extension.
possible. And
It's
like
like maybe there's
maybe
something else to do with what happened there, with how she was given the devil fruit. I mean, we know that her devil fruit is like Nika-esque in the way that it is based off of like her imagination and like
yeah.
what she can suspend disbelief to believe, you know? And so like that it's a very powerful fruit, but that feels like secondary to what
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it is just Jay Garcia Saturn being the world's greatest hater and
That
just
is also
really
very possible. That he just
it's,
really wants to kill Bonnie.
he is a day one hater for the love of the game. He just wants to ruin Kuma's life as much as he physically possibly can.
Kuma said, "Why are you doing this? We're all humans." One time, like 50 years ago, and Jay Garcia has been pissed about it ever since.
Ever
Um,
since.
but we get
So it might just be that too.
the amazing reveal
Yeah.
that Vegapunk gave Bonnie an even higher directive, because the biggest thing that he didn't want to happen with his pacifistas, more than even them becoming a tool of mass destruction for the world government, is for them to be turned on Kuma's daughter,
Yeah.
which is just
And
so
so
god damn it
baked
Vegapunk,
in a secret like authority level above the elders just for Bonnie.
just for Bonnie.
And
I
it's oh
really
man.
love Vegapunk, man. I really love this
Me
guy.
too, dude. And
He is
like
so
I think it's
like
so interesting how we get this like transformation through the backstory until now of Vegapunk being this like mad scientist who then like found his humanity through his relationship with Kuma and Bonnie.
yeah,
Like the Vegapunk that we see here is a very different guy than the type of dude who would like who is like making this crazy deal to like get Buccaneer DNA for the Kuma clones.
Yeah,
You know,
like
like I don't
the
think that
kind
this
of
Vegapunk would do
Vegapunk,
something like
yeah, the
that.
kind of Vegapunk at the end of the Pacifista process would not have started the Pacifista process to begin with,
Right.
which I think is just super interesting.
Hmm.
And the way that I mean, I guess we sort of retroactively learned that he's willing to die here, but the way that he's willing to die for Bonnie after
Yeah.
all this, like throw away himself, because I feel like it's so easy for Vegapunk to be this self-centered character, so
Hmm.
self-centered that he's made seven of himself, right?
Right.
Just so that he like there's more self of him to do stuff, and is willing to
Yeah.
throw that away for Bonnie. I think is really powerful, even if it is
Hmm.
like part of it is he got the message from himself 2 weeks ago that's like something will happen
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
die and it's gonna happen
Hmm.
sort of deal. But I think that it's more than just like following the obligation of a message that was left.
Yeah.
Because I'm willing to give more of that to Vegapunk.
Hmm.
And then Bonnie figures it out. And she figures out that Luffy is the sun god. And it's just so fucking awesome. Right?
And doing the pose that her father did so many times, doing the silly little dance with the do da da da,
Yeah,
and
with the
sees Luffy
drums
in
in
the
the
sky doing the
background
same pose.
while he laughs and laughs and laughs. God, I
The
just
very
fucking love
same
Gear
Straw
5.
Hat Luffy that Kuma had his eye on was Nika the Sun God himself. Oh my god, dude.
This Buster Call
Why
is
also
futile.
why does Oda draw Bonnie's eyes and like Bonnie so much more detailed than everyone else?
Because he knows when to do
He
it.
really
He
does
knows
he
that
really
he
does
knows
show
that it's the right time.
favorites.
He shows favorites. I think there's also like part of it is a contrast to Luffy
Yeah, because
of like
I
Luffy
mean they
being
can't see, but the page
this
we're looking at is like very much cartoon Luffy Gear 5.
yeah,
And then this
like
super hyper realistic drawing of Bonnie's just a close up on her eye with tears like welling up in them
yeah.
is a huge contrast, and it's really really beautiful.
Yeah, there is something I think to Luffy being this silly cartoon funny guy, bringing emotion to some of the most realistic drawings that Oda has ever done.
Yeah.
And I think there's metatextual stuff to that, and there's within text sort of stuff to that. But like shit just keeps happening in this
Fuck all
arc.
that nerd
But
shit.
fuck all that nerd
The
shit. The
fucking
Giants
giants
are
are
here,
here.
baby. The Giants are here.
Let's go.
We have not seen Dorian Broggy. I guess we saw them very briefly with
Since
Shanks, but it's been since fucking Little Garden.
Little Garden, bro. A
And
thousand chapters ago.
Little Garden was approximately 1,000 chapters ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
And they're back.
crazy. And they're back, and they're here to help their friend Straw Hat, or maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
a sun god. Ah, I fucking love this shit, man. It's so cool.
Oh my
I
god.
cannot believe
Oh,
he's
it's so
had
sick.
these two sitting in his fucking back pocket for 1,000 chapters. And
Right?
like, it makes sense. Like, I understand, right? Like, I
Yeah.
like it feels like were gonna come back, but it's just so crazy to see it actually come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even
And then
knowing
we also see Kashi and Oimo from Eni's
from
lobby
Eni's lobby, and they're all
also come back.
here for their
The new
friends.
giant pirates.
Ugh, I absolutely love.
Oh wait, the new giant pirates is Hiruden's crew. These are just straight up the giant pirates.
Yeah. And they're here, and it's like and like Usopp tearing up seeing them. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh man.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for Elbaf because we get more
Oh
fucking
my god, dude.
more of the Giants, more of Usopp. Oh, it's gonna be so good. I
Mm-hmm.
wish I had more to critical say other than holy shit, it's the Giants.
Oh, the whole
Uh,
are here.
and then we get to which is maybe I don't know. It's hard to say that it's a really gripping moment with how much crazy shit happens after it. But as sort of a
Mm-hmm.
consequence of the fact that I had to sit on the first like third of this section for like 5 days, this
Yeah.
encounter with Zoro and Lucci is incredibly fascinating to me.
Yeah,
I
I think
am
you've got a lot
really
to say about Lucci
I
in this
am really
section.
enraptured with Zoro and Lucci in this section.
Hmm.
Uh, which I guess I thought there was more of it right here, so I'll save it. I part of Lucci I want to save until when the rest of the elders show up. Zoro I will have more to say about I think soon.
Yeah.
But I'm really fascinated with them. I want to talk about it in a minute, but I want to move sort
Mhm.
of sequentially as best I can.
Yeah.
And we get
We get
more here of Luffy being this cartoon silly guy and realistic Bonnie.
yeah. It's very obvious in these two panels that we're looking at.
Yeah, and I love
Uh,
as we continue throughout this section, no matter how many times people explain it to Luffy, he's like, "What's a Nika? I don't know
yeah,
what
he
that
just
is."
doesn't get it. He's so
Like
stupid.
no amount of it's you. You're the sun god. I've been looking for you all this time. He's like, "What's that? What's that? I'm a rubber man. I don't know what you're talking about." And
Yeah.
I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised, and I love it so much, and I almost don't want Luffy to figure it out at all.
Right.
Because there's something so charming about Luffy not putting any stock in the fact that he is
In the fact
this
that he is this like
sun god,
legendary
like legendary
god.
figure that hundreds upon thousands upon millions of people in the world of One Piece pray for the appearance of for the last 900 years.
Yeah.
But to him, he's just being who he is just so
Hmm.
it's just so chef's kiss, you know? It's like perfect.
Right.
It's why
Hmm.
he is the one that can be the sun god, be the pirate king, is because this is who Luffy is.
Exactly.
Luffy is not putting on a performance. He's not striving to become something that he is not. He's
Hmm.
becoming the things that he's not by being who he is. And I think it's awesome.
Right. He was it feels like he's the only one who could be because with the way that the devil fruit works, you have to be in line with the will of the Zoan fruit
To not just get
to
completely taken
awaken it,
over by it.
right? Or
Right.
else you become one of the mindless jailer beasts in Impel Down.
And it's
You're
just
overtaken by its will. And so he has always been this guy. It's just now he is this guy squared.
yeah, now he's free to be this guy in any way that he sees fit.
Exactly.
Which leads to
And it's
more
beautiful.
and more amazing Gear 5 action that I cannot wait to see
Hmm.
animated because Gear 5 is like the coolest thing ever.
Oh yeah.
And I just
I
like
gotta.
I cannot
I
wait to
just
hear all
keep
the
having
cartoon
to
sound effects and
mention.
everything.
I keep having to mention how sick it is when Oda, especially in the black and white, how sick it is how Oda draws Kizaru's powers.
Yeah,
I know we talked
I'm
about it last
we
time,
talk about it
but
every
I
time
want to keep
Kizaru shows
mentioning
up,
because it's
but I
really
love it.
cool how washed out all the colors get, and like the dark contrasting shadows from the light fruit always looks so sick. And we get Sanji here kicking the light beam out of the way of Bonnie, which makes no sense. We get a great Kizaru face here.
Yeah, an incredible Kizaru face and the resolute statement from Sanji that love is stronger than light, which makes
And
no
then
sense.
Kizaru's basically saying, "What?
What? That cannot be the
What
case.
are you talking about, dude?"
What are you talking about? But I mean, he did it. He kicked it.
He did it.
He kicked it.
Um,
It's so good. And then
I feel like I
fucking
have I have stuff to talk about with Kizaru later, so I just want to make sure I say that
yeah, well, you
before we
can yeah,
forget about him.
we'll come back to Kizaru. And then fucking Katarina Devon and Van Auger show up.
They're just here.
What the fuck
They
are they
just show
doing
up.
here?
They Van Auger's warp fruit straight to Egghead for
What the
some
fuck are
reason.
they doing here? They show up out of nowhere. They walk up, they touch Jay Garcia's leg, and then she goes, "Mission complete." And then they fucking
And then
leave.
they leave.
It's
What do you mean?
what do you mean? I cannot even fathom what walking up, touching Jay Garcia, and leaving could possibly accomplish. I have no
Right.
idea.
Like it might be I'm just ignorant of what the kitsune fruit
Like
does.
maybe she has to touch somebody before she can copy them. Maybe.
Maybe, but like
But how the fuck would they have known to come here to do all this
right.
at this time? And then we get the
Mm.
whole speech from Katarina Devon about how Teach is special and that it's
Mm-hmm.
not they're not like cowering, they're not like dogs on his leash. They're following him for some other reason.
Yeah.
And Jay Garcia points out that his bloodline is special, which is
What do you mean by that?
what do you mean
What do
by
you mean by
that?
that?
What does that mean?
What do you mean by that, Saint J. Garcia Saturn? Hmm?
Because
Tell me. Tell me.
presumably, I am under the assumption that he is referring to something other than the fact that Teach is a D.
Than the will of D. It
Presume
has it like
maybe,
because why would he be vague if he was talking about something that we know about?
yeah,
You know?
right? Like if it was like he wouldn't just say as is his bloodline. It's too vague. Could it have something to do with the fact that Blackbeard didn't sleep as a child when
I mean, we
Buggy and
know that
Shanks
there
knew
is
him?
shit that's weird about his body.
Maybe
We've
it's got
heard
something to
that
do with how he
from
can have two
Whitebeard. We
devil
know he doesn't
fruits.
sleep. He has two devil fruits. But like, but like what?
But like what? And then the cap it all off, the piece de resistance. You people are always up to strange business. What are you really after? To which Van Augur simply replies, "The world," and then they disappear.
Yeah.
What? What do you mean?
So
I I wish I even had a
I
theory.
don't.
I have nothing. I have like
I
no
know. Like
guess.
I genuinely have nothing.
Like unless like I'm trying so hard because like maybe the idea is that Blackbeard wants to make Fullet a government island so that they have a connection to getting to Marihua so that he can then take Emu's power or something and then he has control over the world, but it seems like that's way too simple
Yeah, and I mean, like,
and
there is
doesn't
something
to
there with the parallels to Luffy, with like if Blackbeard wants to sit on the throne at the center of the world, and Luffy doesn't even want to rule anything. There is that like cool parallel,
yeah.
but like, I feel like Blackbeard has somehow grander ambitions than ruling the world.
Right? Like it seems so much grander than that. And it's not like he says they want to rule the world. He just says that
No,
their
just
goal is
they
the
want
world.
the world.
They want to steal Dio's stand, and that doesn't make any sense to me.
That
I don't, I
makes no
like,
sense. It's not even the right series.
I just like, what could they possibly, and what in the world does walking up, touching Jay Garcia Saturn, and leaving have to do with any of that?
Uh,
These are, like, how the fuck is he resolving this story in 400 to 500 chapters? It's just not possible. I just don't believe that that's possible.
This is also something we talked about earlier on this week, is that there's so many loose ends
And we'll come
that
back to the
feels
loose
like
ends
it's gonna take
during.
so long to wrap up.
There's just no world where he can wrap this up in any reasonable amount of time. I don't believe that Oda is that kind of writer. Also, Wet Hair Caribou is here.
I hate that this character is continuing to be relevant.
I hate that this character is continuing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I could use to end it there. I think it's a little bit hilarious that his purpose throughout this entire story is basically to give the information that the where the fucking weapons are to Blackbeard, which is terrible
Right.
news. Really bad
That
news.
really bad.
Like
Really bad.
especially when we learn about the weapons in this section, horrible, horrible
Mm-hmm.
news. The last person I want, other than maybe Emu, is Blackbeard having the knowledge of where these
Right.
fucking weapons are. Just really bad. Um, my hope is that Blackbeard will kill him, but who knows?
Yeah.
Um, I cannot believe he's still around. He's been here for like 600, five
all
hundred
of
chapters,
all of
all
time
of
skip,
time skip. He's just not
basically.
left. I guess he skipped Dressrosa
Yep.
and Whole Cake a little bit, but it's just fucking ridiculous. I cannot believe this guy is still around. And then we get just some more action between the Straw Hats trying to escape to join the Giants and the Marines chasing them
Hmm.
down. We get introduced to a bunch of weirdo um, members of the
Vice admirals.
Marines. Like my personal favorite, maybe Vice Admiral Bluegrass, who has the ride fruit,
Yeah.
which is
It's a cool
like
fruit. And
It's a
also
cool
way
fruit.
better than the
Yeah,
jacket
it's
fruit.
like the jacket fruit on steroids. It also implies that somebody out there, their vision for the future of humanity's evolution was to be able to ride on things and control them. Which I feel like is important to keep in mind anytime we see a new devil fruit power.
Anytime we see
Is
another
somebody
weird,
was
all these
like, you
weird
know
devil fruit
what?
powers.
If only we could do that. If only I could ride on somebody's back and turn them into a vehicle.
Yeah.
But we just get more great stuff with the giants and everything, and all this stuff is
Hmm.
so cool.
Yeah.
And we start to get the more action with J. Garcia Saturn and learning more and more about like we just can't hurt this guy, like he's just immune to
Hmm.
damage,
Yeah,
and
that's the
like
thing that seems really interesting. Is it's almost like a crocodile-esque moment where like we realize we can't hit this guy, and
yeah, we're
we're
like
gonna have
sort
to
of
figure out some
reintroducing that
way.
idea
Right. But
because
like,
like,
are we gonna have to use some new kind of hockey? Is it gonna be something else that's gonna allow us to like damage these elder guys?
but what could it possibly be, right?
Yeah.
Something more powerful than Conqueror's Hockey?
Hmm.
I mean, I guess maybe Luffy is not able to infuse Conqueror's Hockey into Gear 5 attacks like he was against Kaido when he was in just normal mode.
I mean, but it feels like why wouldn't he, right?
Right? Like it feels like that just feels like a contrivance and it doesn't feel like that's something that Oda would do.
Yeah.
So the question is like how are these elders invincible and why are they invincible?
Hmm.
Especially when a
And we have
blast
mo-
of
we're
we
gonna
have
have more thoughts
more
on
thoughts on
what
them. That I do
these
like that,
guys are.
but it's like because so far, I mean, they've taken no damage. The only thing that's been able to slow them down is Luffy focusing entirely on them while in Gear 5 and having no other distractions.
Hmm.
However, as they have killed Vegapunk, Vegapunk's silly little message starts to play.
That's what we're
As,
calling it.
yeah, the silly little message that is super irrelevant and not dramatically shifting the entirety of the story as we know it, right?
Yeah. Huh?
That's
Yeah,
what I
that's what
would
it is.
call it. uh, because like I cannot believe that Oda did this.
Right?
It's crazy,
This is such a crazy thing to do. Like,
and it would be so easy for it to feel like meaningless. Not meaningless is not the right word, but like it would feel like
like
exposition just for exposition's sake,
it
just to like oh I
very
can't
easy
explain
for
this
it
in
to
the
look
drama.
like right. But
But
he
the
uses the medium of Egghead Island, the character of Vegapunk, to make it make sense
yeah,
in a way that is like narratively satisfying.
and it's just so good. And the
Yeah.
way that they're like I especially love at the start the sort of humor of how nonchalant they are,
Right.
where
Of like Shaka and
yeah,
and
Shaka
Stella talking to each
and
other.
the Stella and Pythagoras being like, well, we can't start immediately because then people won't have time
Right.
to put up the
We have
transponder
to let
snails.
people. Yeah.
And they're
We gotta
like,
give
but
them time to set
Stella,
up
if we
their
give them too long, the government will stop it. You're right. Let's do 10 minutes. Oh, but I don't even have a coffee. What am I supposed to do for 10 minutes? And then they go through this whole thing about like brewing their new
they're just like
Vegapunk
they're just
coffee.
like
And it's like, it's just so silly.
it's so silly for something that is literally going to shake the fabric of the world as we know it. And they're just like, "You just want coffee?
Yeah.
This is
You guys
this
want a
makes
coffee? We
sense."
got 10 minutes to kill. It's just so
It's really
good.
good.
And it also spurs the other elders into action.
Yeah.
I also think it's worth
Um,
noting that, and this happens throughout the section, they are not communicating via transponder snail.
no, they're communicating like telepathically.
Yeah, they're just like talking to each other in their minds, which is something that they can do apparently, which is terrifying.
There's a lot of that in
There
this
is a lot of
section,
that with the
of
elders in this
that's
section.
just something they can do apparently.
Yeah. And it's all very terrifying. And we start to get our snippets of things all over the world, and we really get to see every corner
all
of the
the
world.
over every person who has ever been relevant in this story,
Like
really.
almost everybody. Like we
Fucking
see
Foxy comes
Foxy
back for
fucking
this.
comes back. Like we see everything short of like Captain Kuro and Don Krieg, you know?
Right,
Like Foxy's we even get a shot of Skypiea and they aren't even hearing the message. Like
right.
and it's crazy, but I do really love getting to see the different snippets of the
Yeah,
world and the way
it's
they're all
really great to just
reacting.
see all the different people we've ever met,
Uh
showing how they all feel and think about what's about to happen.
yeah.
Like showing that the world doesn't stop moving when we leave an island, that all these places have continued on doing
Yeah.
their own thing.
Like these places are still moving and they are just as impacted by this announcement existing as like we as
Right.
readers are.
As
And I
we
think it's
as
really
readers are.
well done. It's an easy way. It would be so easy for this whole section to feel like pointless, not pointless again, but like exposition that's done because it's exposition mixed with like
Mhm.
fan service to make you not notice that it's exposition. But it doesn't come off that way at all, which I feel like is really impressive that Oda is able to do that without it feeling that way because it would be so easy
Yeah, it's
for
very
here's
impressive.
all your favorite characters that we haven't seen in a while and also here's exposition. And that is kind of what's happening, but it feels more
It
meaningful and intentional than
it
that,
it
which
doesn't
is
it just doesn't read that way. It doesn't feel
yeah.
like it doesn't feel hollow as if it would to be like in like if a worse writer was writing this. Like because we care so much about all of these people and places, getting to see their reactions to this massive news is cool and is impactful just to look at and to like for
Yeah.
us as readers to see. And so it has emotional impact, even if it is basically just a guy reading a fucking message to the world that is explaining the plot,
Yeah.
explaining history, like just giving us a lore dump because he's done so much legwork in creating all these characters in this massive world. We actually get to see that impact of how this news affects the world that he's written.
Yeah. And that's I think really cool.
Hmm.
I also want to take a brief moment to
Um,
talk about more Gear 5 action because holy shit, Gear 5 is
yeah,
so cool.
because
Him
holy shit, it's so cool.
clapping Kizaru and Jay Garcia together, flattening them out into little pancakes that he starts spinning on his fingers. It's ridiculous.
Like they're fucking pizza. He's just
Like
like,
they're like their pizza, and the way that it just like it destroys Kizaru and is
right.
nothing to Jay Garcia Saturn.
Hmm. And I think it's so. I don't know if everyone gets this when they read these sections, but I definitely do. Where like when you see Nika laughing, it makes you laugh
Yeah,
along with him.
Gear 5 as I'm reading it makes me laugh consistently.
Like it's like I don't. It feels like it's like the power is affecting you. Like I don't know how to
Yeah,
extra,
like
how else to
I don't
describe it. It's
know.
like
He is Joy Boy and I'm feeling
it
the joy
just
when he's
puts a
doing shit.
smile on your face to watch him do this shit.
Yeah. And the way that it is
But Jake
contrasted
Garcia Saturn
by
is making the summons.
making the summons. Brief aside, before we get to the summons, Yamato, my
Oh
goat.
yeah, Yamato cover
I
story.
want to briefly mention that the Yamato cover story is happening, and I love him so much, and I can't wait for him to join the crew. Smile. Um,
Yep.
Although I do think that Yamato joining the crew stocks are a little bit down, and Vivi joining the crew stocks are quite
VV
high.
stocks are still up, baby.
Vivi stocks are up, but my copium is that last time when Jinbei couldn't join the crew, we got a cover story for Jinbei, and then he joined the crew after. And so I think hopefully
Bro.
the same thing is happening with Yamato. He couldn't join the crew yet. He's getting a cover story to show what he's doing before he's ready to join the crew, and then he gets to join the crew,
Right.
and then I get to be the happiest person on the planet for like a week whenever it happens. Uh,
Yep.
and when Yamato inevitably doesn't join the crew, um, shit, you know? But
Uh-oh.
Vivi stocks are up. And I'm not upset about
Hmm.
Vivi stocks being up because Vivi's awesome. We'll get to Vivi more later though. Because holy shit, right?
Yeah.
As the
You get
Vegapunks are
this.
talking about their fucking Vega coffee, a series of magic circles appear with
Mhm.
like black flames or lightning or both,
It's like, yeah, it's like black lightning and black flames.
like shooting
And we
out of
get
them.
the five elders manifest in their
Their
transformations.
transformations, demon, yokai, monster, whatever they
Hmm.
are. And there's a lot of questions I think immediately raised, right? About
Yeah.
what the fuck is
So
going
like,
on here.
it seems this is One Piece. This is the story about, where the funny gum man eats the funny gum fruit and he becomes gum man. So you think that these are devil fruit users, right?
Right, and they look like devil fruit users. They look
Yeah.
like Zoan types.
They
They have
have the
the
awakened
Hagoromos, like the same
Hagoromo,
ones that Lucci and Kaku have.
but everything else about them does not compute as devil
Yeah,
fruit users.
they
The
seem to
way that they're
have
introduced here in this panel, they are not introduced as like Saint J. Garcia Satter, like mythical model,
model Gyuki
mythical octopus Muki, octopus,
or like spider
whatever,
spider
Gyuki.
fruit model Gyuki.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
Gyuki,
just Gyuki, Itsumade, Fengshi,
Fengshi, Bakotsu, sandworm,
Sandworm. Also, really, Sandworm.
sandworm.
All of these. This is just two English words.
It's a
I get
sandworm.
that.
I don't
I get
know.
the sandworms are a like creature, but sandworm just feels like anticlimactic for the rest of the names. But regardless, they are not introduced as devil fruit models, just as the creature that they are. Period.
And I am inclined to believe that literally.
Yeah.
I am
There's a
inclined to
few other
believe that these
bits in
guys
the
are just straight up yokai or demons or monsters.
yeah.
How they are able to emulate being human, I don't know. Probably
Yeah.
something to do with the
So
magic fucking circles that we have no explanation for.
yeah, so I have done some thinking and theorizing about
Oh,
this
please,
and have
please.
seen other, like people talking about this section, doing research on this part on what the best theory that I do is that either these are straight up demons and just are like either like in the way that a devil fruit has the soul of a devil in it, maybe these are just devils. Or what I think is more interesting, and the theory that I'm gonna hang my hat on and mark down as an official prediction, is I think that these are devil fruits, but they are literally the devil fruit themselves, as in like the Zoan fruit will manifest as a creature, and that is why they do not read and act like regular devil fruits. That these are straight up the devils from within the fruits.
It's an interesting idea. It still raises so many questions, though, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
like, if these guys are a bunch of demons from the fruits, and I mean, even still, I think they are devils or yokai or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
Why are they masquerading as the five elders to have political power over the world? Like, why would they do that?
Right. Like it's
And even still, I am operating under the assumption that Emu is not like these five. My
Yeah, I
assumption,
I agree. I think that
based
Emu
off
is a
of
devil fruit
I
user
think that Emu is a
or
Devil Fruit
something.
user based on the fact that Cobra recognized the name from one of the original founding Celestial Dragons, right? Which to me
Right.
reads as that is a human person who has been alive for 800 plus years, maybe through Op Fruit, maybe through their own Devil Fruit power, whatever it is. So
Hmm.
if that's the case, and these guys are real yokai devils, why are they working for Emu? Lord
Right.
Emu. Why are they
What is
like
what why are these people or not even maybe not even people subservient to Emu if they're not even human? And I think that Emu is a human or at
and
least was.
and they clearly put very little stock in humanity. these elders.
Yeah.
If Saint J Garcia Saturn is anything to go by, they put very little stock in
Hmm.
human life and the
Yeah, and
value
we
of it.
we talked about this a little bit earlier on in the week again about how we don't think that these guys are human at all.
I don't think so.
The way that they talk about humanity feels different from the way that like a celestial dragon talks about humanity.
Yeah.
Where like yes, the celestial dragons believe themselves to be above humans. They believe themselves to be gods. But the way that these guys specifically talk about humans feels like they are literally other than like separated themselves from humans. Like they are an
Yeah.
other
I completely agree.
that's not
Because this to me, the celestial dragons being like, "Oh, I'm a god and you're a measly ant," feels more like racism. Whereas
right.
these guys
This
feel
this
other.
feels like speciest
Yeah,
if you want to
specious.
use that
Like,
metaphor.
oh, you're like literally an insect.
Like you're literally an inferior creature on like the evolutionary chain than me.
And it just
And
like
it's
how the
it's
fuck, right?
so
Like, what are these things?
yeah, like what the fuck are they?
And if that's
What
the
the fuck
case,
are they?
what are they? How do they have magic circles? Why are they subservient to Emu? And why
Uh-huh.
are they so scared of the truth getting out?
Right.
Because, like,
What is their
obviously,
goal?
what are they
Why do they
hiding?
like do they have a goal? Or are they just trying to like hold power and
Or
like
is their goal just
be
to be
evil?
whatever Emu wants? But what does Emu
Right.
want? We don't know anything about Emu.
Yeah.
God, it's just so fascinating. I'm
It is
so
absolutely
perplexed.
it is so
It is
interesting.
a mystery that I really did not think we were going to be getting here. I was already surprised we saw St. J. Garcia Saturn transform into a giant monster. I was not expecting all five of them
Right?
to show up.
To show up and all be horrifying eldritch creatures.
Yeah, the highest authority of the world government, the Five Elders, which is an awesome splash page that I really encourage you go look at
Yeah.
if you're watching along
Go look at
because
go look at
like,
the color version too cuz it also rips.
I cannot wait to see the official color versions of some of these things because
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fucking awesome. They're
Uh-huh.
just like, and they're so
Um
scary. They don't feel like this is not
yeah,
how
they
Oda
just don't
usually draws creatures in One Piece.
right.
Usually
It's
creatures
like
in One Piece are
the
silly
art
and
style
goofy.
is different and so you get this like uncanny valley feeling of like this feels like it's from a different manga.
Yeah. Which makes the contrast with Gear 5 Luffy all the more interesting.
All the more interesting. And then the raw power that is displayed by these guys
Yeah, they just start
immediately upon
going the
entering.
fuck off. Like, I don't
Yeah.
remember all their
The
names,
the
but
horse, the devil horse guy
yeah, the
or
horse
the skeleton horse
guy.
guy runs around the entire island of Egghead cuz presumably like has like enhanced senses and can see for miles and cuts down nearly all of the pacifistas in seconds.
Yeah, as the
You
bird one
get the
flies up,
bird thing
ignores the
past
Labo
the
phase's defenses, and just
yeah,
goes in both to antagonize Nico Robin and to try and find the source of the Vegapunk's
the
message.
Vegapunk message.
While
Also,
like the others
the
are,
skeleton horse guy also has ice powers,
yeah, it's
like Brook
reminiscent of
does,
Brook
which is
in,
interesting that both skeletons have these powers.
yes, this weird like ice Iaido slash thing going on, which
Connection to like the underworld, which is how Brook's thing is said to work. So does the skeleton horse guy also have connection to the underworld? Is it also something to do
that
with?
would be my assumption is that he's got some connection to the afterlife in the same way that Brook does.
Mm-hmm.
But Brook's not one-shotting pacifistas, you know?
No, he's not.
I mean I love Brook. I mean maybe he is one-shotting pacifistas. I don't know. Other Straw Hats can
I
one-shot
don't know, maybe
pacifistas.
Gen 2 pacifistas, maybe not
Yeah,
the
maybe
Gen
original
3
ones, maybe not the new
pacifistas.
ones. But like Brook is not effortlessly mowing down an entire island's worth of pacifistas with
Right.
the same powers that this horseman seems to be displaying.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like, and the way that they all
They're
start
just
to,
so immediately a threat and intimidating. The second that they step on the scene is
yeah,
incredible.
it's really great. I think now I can talk about Zoro and Lucci.
Let's talk about Lucci.
I want to talk about,
You've been
well, I'm not ready.
teasing me about fucking your thoughts on Lucci.
I'm not ready to talk about Lucy yet. Actually, I'm close. I
Oh,
don't know
just
exactly.
Zoro?
I want to talk about Zoro first because Zoro's thing happens first. So
See,
Zoro
guys,
during
he
this
keeps he
section,
keeps teasing me,
I'm
guys.
gonna keep teasing you because I'm a little tease, but we're not that far from talking about Lucci as well. Um,
Let's go.
but the Lucci versus Zoro fight to me is really interesting because it's a
Hmm.
a fight where Zoro is had to consider something different than he's ever had to consider in a fight before, and it's time. It's not a
Yeah,
question of whether or not Zoro is strong enough to beat Lucci because he is. He does successfully beat Lucci,
yeah, of course he is.
but he's running out of time. Like the whole crew needs to get away as fast as possible, and Zoro is on the other side of the island stalling Lucci, and it's
Hmm.
taking him effort to get there. Like Lucci keeps disarming him, which I think is a really interesting choice
Hmm.
because to
Yeah,
me, I think what is being done here is asking a question about Zoro's role on the crew.
yeah.
And maybe not in the sense that like because so much of Zoro in most arcs is like Zoro's role is to be the guy that goes and takes out the biggest threat that isn't the main bad guy.
Right. He fights the second in command.
He
He is
fights the second in
mainly on the
command
crew
and
as
he
as a
locks in
like
when
a
nobody else
militant
can
force.
and he's a militant force. So what happens when Zoro cannot do that when he needs to?
Right.
And that's sort of what's happening here. And Lucci brings this idea to the forefront. And I think I'm wondering if moving forward we are going to have an arc of Zoro questioning himself.
Yeah.
Because
Almost in
right
the same way as like Usopp in Water 7
yeah, kind of. Because like right
of
after
like
Zoro
feeling
has
inadequate in
made
comparison to the crew.
right after Zoro has made this resolution that he is not willing to throw away his life and he like chasing being the world's greatest swordsman is the same thing as chasing Luffy being the pirate king and those two things are synonymous, then he
Hmm.
must do both and that he is going to do both. And immediately after that, it is his inability to defeat Lucci fast enough that becomes, as Sanji says literally, a liability. So
Right.
much so that Jinbei has to go get him and take him away
Hmm.
and pull him away from the fight so that we can get out.
Yeah.
And so I think it's easy to see as sort of the way that like I forget it's somehow it's I think it may have been earlier the way that Lucci describes him like he's just not good enough. He's not him. And
Yeah.
in the sense that like Zoro and I think also Lucci are almost like tools. And
Hmm.
I think to me that comes through with Zoro's swords. Zoro losing the swords, not having full control over the tools that make him useful,
Hmm.
and whether or not that's going to weigh on Zoro as a character. Because I think it's
That's
from
really
from
interesting.
our perspective, I don't think that Zoro has anything to worry about. But I'm wondering if
Right.
what we need to see is for Zoro to realize that he is more than just muscle.
Yeah.
And if this moment fighting Lucci is the impetus for him to go, I am more than just the sword guy.
Hmm.
And maybe that is the moment that pushes Zoro fully back into the role of vice captain, first mate, whatever you want to call it, right?
Oh, that would be sick
Where
if that was his moment of like fully being declared first mate.
because that feels to me like where this is going is it feels to me like we need a moment where Zoro is like, what am I doing wrong? In this
Right.
moment, the
Because
crew
if you think
needed
about like,
me, and I wasn't there.
yeah, if you think about like regular standard like roles on a pirate ship, swordsman isn't one of them, right?
Right. I mean, to be fair,
You
neither
know,
are a couple other roles on the crew, but
neither is archaeologist or sniper, but
or a musician maybe.
musician you need.
Depends. You need a
But
musician. You're right. Luffy's right.
exactly, but you're like I get what you're saying though. Is like Zoro's role in the crew has always just been to fight. You know, that's all he does is he works out, he sleeps, he drinks, and he fights the big bad guy. You know, he's not the guy who's navigating the ship. He's not the guy who's hoisting the sails or
Or
being the
cooking the
helmsman.
food
He's
or
just there.
curing the disease, you know?
He's just there as a tool, like you said, like to be the spear of the Pirate King, and to speak metaphorically, he is just a tool. That is really
He's a
interesting.
sword. He's literally the
Yeah,
crew's sword. And to me, because like think about it from Zoro's perspective in this section, because Zoro is busy here fighting Lucci, Jinbei, who is their second or third strongest fighter that is not Lucci or Luffy,
yeah.
you can argue all however long you want about who's stronger between Zoro and Jinbei and Sanji. They're the three strongest that are not Luffy.
And please do in the comments.
Please
Please
do in the
argue
comments. I
about
would
who's
love for the engagement. I mean, I would love for the discussion about who is stronger. But
right.
regardless, Sanji is protecting people. And Zoro, because he is over here, has himself and brings Jinbei away from protecting Robin.
Hmm.
And while Zoro and Jinbei are away, Robin and Nami and Usopp and Chopper and Brook get attacked by one of the five elders.
Right.
And Zoro was not there.
Exactly.
And
All
I
he's
think
doing right now is
for the
keeping
rest of the
Lucci at
crew,
bay.
I do not think that matters. I do
Right.
not think that Nami or Usopp or Chopper or Brook or Robin or even Jinbei would hold that against Zoro. Maybe Sanji would. But I think that
Mhm.
Zoro will need to hold it against himself.
Yeah.
I think that there is an impetus here for Zoro to change in some way. And I'm interested to see where it's going. I think there is a chance that it's nothing and it's just Lucci talking shit.
It could be.
But
Lucci is also a grade A hater.
Lucci is a grade A hater, but Lucci is right a little bit.
Right. But I think you're gonna get into this a little bit later, because Lucci is also a tool.
Lucci is the exact same thing. I would agree. That's my
Right.
part of my
And
main thought is that
but yeah,
Lucci is the
we're
exact same
gonna
thing.
get it. I think I'm picking up what you're putting
You're
down,
picking
and
up a
we'll get
little
into
bit
that a little
about
bit
what I have to
later.
say about Lucci, but
Uh-huh. Yeah. And
there's
I
a
think it'll be
specific
really
panel
interesting
I want to say for Lucci.
if for because we know that we're moving into Elbaf next, which is gonna be a big Usopp arc. It has to be.
Yeah,
And so
it's
for
there's no way
Usopp,
it's not.
for the character like Usopp, who had that moment back in Water 7, where he had a very similar thing to what we're talking about, where he was thinking he wasn't good enough to beef on the crew, you know, having these insecurities, being thinking that he was not useful to the crew because he wasn't a strong fighter. He didn't have the skill that
That
Nami
Zoro
had,
did.
or yeah, he didn't have the raw power that Zoro did. I think that would be really cool if moving into Elbaf we get this sort of like expansion of Usopp's strength and confidence, and then also seeing that contrasted with Zoro's like depression arc,
Insecurity.
for
Yeah,
lack of a better word, insecurity would be really cool. And I think that's
I
a
think it'd be really
really
interesting.
really great narrative idea. I love that.
But
It's
that's
really
my read on this fight with Lucci. I don't know if that's what it's going to look like moving into Elbaf. For all I know, nobody does yet because Elbaf's not done. So maybe we don't even know if Zoro's going to have an arc in that arc.
right.
But I'm really interested in where Zoro's moving because I feel like you don't bring up the idea of Zoro being useless after he had such a big change last arc for no
Yeah,
reason.
I mean, Zoro literally just got Conqueror's Hockey in the last arc, and we're still having panels where Lucci is calling him out for wasting time, and Sanji calling him a liability.
Yeah,
Very interesting. Let's move
very
on.
very
We talked a
interesting.
lot
Let's move on. We
about
talked a lot about that, and
Zoro.
I still have more to talk about with Rob Lucci. But there's a specific
Yeah.
panel that I want to talk about when we get to it for before I get to Rob
Uh-huh.
Lucci, um, who I do have quite a bit to say about. Um, and I especially love even because obviously Jinbei has to take Lucci away or take Zoro away from Lucci. Lucci is not like dead. He's not like down.
No, he's still
He's
standing.
still standing. He's fucked up, but he's still standing, which I think is an interesting. It's interesting. I don't know. Rob Lucci's so interesting to me. Yeah, it's right here. This is where I want to talk about with Rob Lucci.
Oh,
It's
okay,
this
okay, we're
panel.
here now.
It's this page specifically because it's this page. One of the elders, I forget which one. It's the bird one. I don't know what his name is, but he shows
Uh,
up after
Peter,
Jinbei and
Jupiter.
Jupiter. He shows up after Zoro and Jinbei have just left, and Rob Lucci is just depowered.
Hmm.
and he asks Rob Lucci where York is, and it's this face from Lucci, this reaction shot, half of his face, the terror in Lucci's eyes,
Yeah.
seeing the person that he works directly under, the person who he's no like he gets commands directly from these people.
Yeah, the five elders.
And he is seeing the kind of destructive monster that is directing his violence. And it is
Uh-huh.
scary to him.
Right. This
And
man
when
who
he,
is only an agent of violence, his justice is dark justice because he just wants to be violent for what he can consider a justifiable cause.
and
And he is
after and
terrified of this thing.
he's terrified of this thing. And the part that gets to me more after this, he answers the giant bird's questions. He says, "Well done, no further questions." And as he's leaving, Lucci calls out to him. And for maybe the first time ever, Lucci is making a selfish request to a higher power. He says, "Wait, my partner is still gravely wounded in the command room. Please spare his life." And the elder responds, "That may not be possible. One does not attempt to step on insects, it simply happens."
Oh, dude.
I love this scene. To me, and my
Yeah.
hope is that this scene will completely shatter Rob Lucci's worldview.
Hmm.
Because what happens, this is my one of my notes is worded, I believe it's my first note. What happens when a tool is broken?
Hmm.
Rob Lucci, for as long as we have known him, has existed for one purpose: to be a tool for violence. And
Do you
now
know what this
him,
reminds me of?
what does it remind you
Bellamy.
of? Oh, now you see what we're cooking. Now you see where I'm getting at.
It's exactly like Bellamy
It's
in
exactly like
Doflamingo.
Bellamy and Doflamingo. And I thought for sure that Kaku was fucking dead. I was 100% sure that
Yeah.
Kaku was going to die. He did not die, or at least as far as I'm aware, he did not die by the end of the arc, which surprised me a little bit.
Hmm.
A lot of my theorying was built around the idea that Kaku was going to be killed by this elder.
Hmm.
But to me, this feels like it should be the moment that shatters Rob Lucci's worldview, shatters his
Hmm.
vision of dark justice, because for once in his life, he cares about someone or something.
Right.
And the
He has like
person
Kaku is the closest thing he has to a friend. He
to
calls him his partner.
his partner. It's a little homoerotic tension, which I'm here for.
A little
But
bit.
but he is caring about something for the first time ever. And the person that he follows
Right.
orders from, the person that directs his violence, does not care. So much
Not
so,
even that it doesn't care. It's as if it couldn't possibly
couldn't
care.
possibly care.
Like it doesn't have the ability to even give a shit about the life of Kaku. One
Yeah,
of a massively powerful awakened Zoan CP9 or CP0 agent that like you would imagine they would at least want to kind of care about,
yeah. Who
you
had
know, as at
they
least
have
in like
sent
a
on?
militant,
Yeah,
like as a force for, you know, their own like power. But he not it like he's there's no like malice or even like intention in the way that the bird guy is talking. Just like that might not even be possible. I don't even know, man.
it simply
If it happens, it
happens.
happens. Like it's so devoid of any emotion, positive or negative. Just complete apathy to the life of the one person that Rob Lucci gives a shit about,
Yeah.
seemingly at least.
And so
Oh,
I
that's so
think
good. Oh, I love this
I
shit so
love this
much.
shit so much. I really fucking love Rob Lucci. And so I think it begs the question of what happens next. Rob Lucci is a
Hmm.
tool for violence, and that tool does not have a purpose.
Yeah.
So what does he do next? And my crackpot idea, and this is probably not going to happen, is that I think, and we'll get to this a little bit later, I think that a lot of characters that have fallen in the cracks are going to have to choose
Hmm.
sides in this new chase for the
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
Piece.
We're going to talk about this a little bit later.
And I think there is a very real chance that Rob Lucci is going to follow Luffy.
I think that's really likely. We have the moment from earlier in this arc where they like temporarily team up to fight the Seraphim, and they fight very well in tandem together.
Yeah. And Rob Lucci has started to show a will of his own, started to show his own desires. So I think that he
And has
needs
started
to
to have a
dream about something.
respect for Luffy.
Because think about it.
There is the moment in the beginning where he says, "I don't recognize him as an emperor," and then sees his power, and does have this sort of like
Yeah,
it's 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 angry, respect. Like he still is like has like a grudge against Luffy, but has this like we've talked about it before, like you just said, like having this will, having this dream of right now it seems he just wants to beat Luffy because he has a grudge, but having a will of his own finally, and not just being
a
you
tool
know,
for
the
violence.
government's dog, they point and he kills. Having his own will is really, really interesting.
It's
Having
really, really interesting.
thinking.
And I feel like, because in my conception, if Rob Lucci was in this same position, half dead, and he called out in a last bit of desperation to Luffy to make sure Kaku made it
Mhm.
out alive, Luffy would do it without question.
Right. Like if the story was different and like Luffy had been fighting Lucci here, and then Luffy was going off
To go stop
to
the
go
elders or
find the command
something,
center or whatever. Right. And 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 Lucci called out to be like, my partner is up there. Please don't kill him.
please don't kill him. Don't
No
let him
question in my
die up
mind,
there.
Luffy
Luffy would say
Luffy
yes with a
wouldn't would
smile.
right.
And I really, really hope that Rob Lucci
Oh.
figures that out.
That's why it
Because,
reminds me so much of Bellamy, because Bellamy has the same arc of
exactly.
being this dog of Doflamingo who's just going around doing violence without a dream, and then meets Luffy, has a grudge against him, and then because of Luffy's influences in his life, goes to the Sky Islands, like figures out his dream, which at the moment was to just become a full-fledged member of the Don Quixote family, and then the Don Quixote family and Doflamingo break him. They literally cast him aside and try to kill him, and then he ends up following Luffy.
And I really think that something
It's
similar
the
is happening
same.
here.
It's the same arc.
I really hope that something similar is happening here. Because to me, these
Oh,
two
oh,
pages
that's really
feel
good.
like the reason that Rob Lucci came back into the story was these two pages.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see more because I feel like it inevitably is going to lead to a conflict between Lucci and the other members of CP9 that have become CP0.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are not here to experience something like this.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll come back to this a little bit with the Stussy Kaku stuff at the end that I think also builds
Right.
on this. But I really, really love it. I think
Mm-hmm.
I spent like 5 days ruminating on these two pages about Rob Lucci
Yeah.
because I couldn't read for this is like the last chapter I read or something, or maybe it was the next to last chapter I read before I had to take a
Mm-hmm.
break. I just really love it. I don't know. I hope I have gotten at least
Yeah.
some of
Oh, I
a sense of why I love this section and Rob Lucci so
no,
much
you
here.
you fucking cooked there.
But
That's
Rob
incredible.
Lucci has genuinely in this section like skyrocketed to one of my favorite characters
Mm-hmm.
based off basically 2 pages. And I
Yeah.
really, really love it. Anyways, back to the plot moving forward and not talking
Yeah.
about Rob Lucci. We get more great action with the giants and Luffy dealing with the different elders. I especially like this
Mm-hmm.
shot where all of Luffy's like character detail features fall off of his
Yeah.
body as he's
The,
getting
the
attacked.
hat, his sandals, the Hagoromo, his scar falls off his
His
body.
scar falls off his body, like the like fuzzy bit wrapped around his belt. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of it just like comes off and then snaps back onto him. And he's like putting the scar back on like it's a sticker. It's so funny. I
Yeah.
really love it. I just absolutely love Gear 5. Um or like
Uh-huh.
I think maybe my favorite Gear 5 moment ever is this moment where he rips
Oh
the
my God,
tree
this
out of
is
the
so
ground,
good.
bites it into a baseball bat, paints it black, Mihawk style, and then
Mihawk style.
Mihawk style, and then hits the fucking shots from the Elder like a baseball. And then it turns out they were nukes. And it's fucking amazing. I love Gear 5. Gear 5 is truly
That's
incredible. And
this.
I
This is
cannot
one of the moments I'm the most excited for to
me
see
too.
animated.
I more than anything, I am excited to see him turn this tree into a giant baseball bat and put the baseball hat like helmet on and
Yeah,
swing.
like I can hear like the classic like baseball theme song.
Yeah.
I guess
I almost
like
like
the
I'm
da da
imagining
da da.
like a home run sound effect and like cheering or
Right,
something as he hits them back. It's gonna be so good. Oh, I love
it's
it.
gonna be great.
Unfortunately, it does nothing to the elders, but
Right, and Luffy says they're immortal.
yeah, he says they're immortal. But that might just be him.
Interesting. It
I don't know.
might,
I don't think Luffy is smart
but
enough
it's
to have it all
to
figured
figure
out.
out if they are or aren't. But
I also really like a brief small moment. This is our sort of last moment for Kizaru. I don't know if you want to talk about Kizaru now. Um, where Kizaru is
um,
lying on the boat after getting owned by Luffy, and they're like, "Please show us your wounds." And he's like, "Am I wounded? Yes, deeply. Just let me rest."
I want to save the Kizaru thing for
For the chase for the One Piece.
that last. Yeah,
Okay.
because like you said, I think that we're gonna have a lot of characters who are falling into the cracks. We're gonna have to pick a side, and I think Kizaru is gonna pick a side.
Pick a side. We'll get to that. Well, I don't want to ruin your theory talk. Let's move.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Also, I want to take this a moment. I want to talk about Frankie. It's time for Frankie.
Yeah. Hey,
Um,
you think Frankie's a traitor?
not anymore. I don't. I
Yeah.
think unless he is a
Like
traitor to someone other than the elders,
it
I
was
don't know
never a
who.
real like
I never truly, in my
I
heart
mean
of hearts,
I mean it was
believed
a
it.
real theory.
But
No.
now that I've seen him literally protect multiple people from the elders, I think I am
Yeah,
fully
no.
in. But I want to hand it to Frankie. I wish that Frankie got a little more
Hmm.
screen time in this arc because I feel like an arc where he's meeting Vegapunk should have maybe been a bigger deal for
Should
Frankie as
have
a character.
been a
But
bigger
there is
deal. Yeah.
still a Vegapunk around. Like we have Lilith on the boat, so there
We
is
do
room
still
for
have
stuff
Lilith,
to
yeah.
happen with Frankie. So maybe Elbaf will be a time for Frankie. But I really don't think that's the
Hmm.
case because I feel like there's too many other characters that need stuff in Elbaf with Usopp and Robin and
Yeah,
maybe
right.
Zoro and Luffy and
And
then like
probably Luffy because of the Sun God
and
stuff.
then like I'm got a crackpot thing about Brooke maybe in that arc, and like that just seems like not time for Frankie, but maybe it will be. I
Right.
hope so, because I'd love more Frankie. But I really like Frankie
Uh-huh.
in this section. He gets to be a protector in a way that we've never really seen him before.
Right. He kind of takes on like a Sanji-esque role as well, like being the guy who's just like keeping the forces that he can at bay so that the others can
Can
escape
escape,
and
which I
to get
appreciate,
away.
which I like seeing from Frankie. It's
Hmm.
also, I think, in time skip our first like really huge set piece that Frankie has been in where he's not in the mech outside of
Right,
like
yeah,
Senor Pink,
it's
but Senor
just
Pink is a
Frankie.
different kind of fight, you know?
Yeah, that's a different thing.
That was more of like taking the hit and then taking like trading blows and not like
Right.
fighting a horde of enemies and like using all of his weird tools to like protect and like deal with the crowd.
Hmm.
And it's cool to
Right.
see Frankie
It
getting
feels
to
like
do
it's been
that.
so wrong since we've gotten a strong right, you know?
Right? Like a strong right or like a weapons left out of Frankie. It
Hmm.
doesn't happen very often anymore. Which is sort of a symptom of Frankie not getting a lot of screen time. But I'm
Right.
hoping that it's a sign of Frankie getting to do more in the future because I do quite like Frankie in
Hmm.
this section. Because all the Straw
Yeah.
Hats are very understated, as we probably already
Hmm.
mentioned. This is not the Straw Hats arc,
Right,
um,
exactly.
but it's still nice. Um,
We get
we
a
keep
little bit with
moving.
York here.
We get a
I
little
don't
bit with
know.
York. I don't know. I have like
I don't
nothing to
have a
say about
lot to say
York.
about
I have
York.
almost nothing to say about York.
Like,
I guess she's still alive, so she's still a problem.
yeah,
Um,
but I don't really have anything. Like, yeah, it's interesting that like we have a Vegapunk and they have a Vegapunk.
yeah, which could come up
But
to be interesting, but I don't have a lot to say
right.
about them.
Hmm.
Um, just a lot of cool action, as already mentioned. More cool action and more cool action. I also think I want to point out, and maybe I've already pointed this out, that I think Luffy's Gear 5, I love the way that I think I mentioned this in the library. I think I love the way that he is
I think you did, yeah.
powered by food And I don't think it's that he's literally powered by food, like Gear 5 needs food to work. I think it is
Hmm.
in the way that a lot of Luffy's stuff works, because of the way that the Nika fruit works. Luffy believes that he is empowered and made more free by eating a bunch of food, and so he is.
Right.
Like the fruit wills that into existence because Luffy believes that so hard, which I think is really
Exactly.
fun character
In
work.
like in like the same way that Bonnie's fruit works, where if she believes it, it can happen.
Yeah.
If she believes that that could happen in the future, she can manifest it. Luffy being able to just, if he thinks that's how it works, that's how it works, period.
Yeah, like Luffy's like, "Oh, I will be strong again if I eat a big thing of meat." And so then he does and then
Right.
he's strong again. And I think that's
Uh-huh.
one great character work and two a really fun way to like explain away his powers
Yeah.
without directly like saying that's how it works. I think is really fun.
Hmm.
Uh God, and the elders are just so fucking scary, man.
They are.
The whole
And like
time they're so
Luffy
scary.
hits a full power red rock onto the boar guy,
And it doesn't
and
do anything.
it doesn't do anything. It hurts Luffy.
God, how are we going to deal with these guys? I really don't know. Um sort of moving. We sort of get we're almost at the start
Oh
of
yeah, we get
Vegapunk's
this
thing now.
panel.
This panel of the punk
The
records, which is
panel,
honestly really
yeah,
freaky.
like
Some
the
serious body
literal like
horror.
severed head of Vegapunk being Punk Records was like, of course it is.
Like it had to be,
But like
but
actually seeing it in this like vat, like this tank of,
like a literal brain in a
science
vat.
juice, it's really gross.
It's super like body horror-y, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love Oda dipping into that wheelhouse.
Uh-huh.
Um, and we
And
get more
here's where
of
I think we
yeah,
start
we
to get
start
more, yeah,
the
more of
message.
the look around the
We yeah, the more
worlds.
the look around the world and we really start the message. I just love seeing all
Mhm.
these people, man. Like seeing
Right?
Kaya and Usopp's the Usopp pirates and like oh Laboon. Oh,
Laboon,
I love
Crocus.
Laboon, Crocus, Chopper's friends, the people that Frankie met.
Hmm.
Like it's just all kinds of different people all over the world.
Right.
And I think there a little bit there is an interesting set of people that we don't see throughout all this.
Oh
Um,
yeah?
I think it's interesting that we don't see characters like Law.
True.
Because,
Well,
like,
they're
obviously, I mean, yeah, Law is out of commission, supposedly, but I think it's interesting that we don't get a shot of, like, Trafalgar Law being like, what the fuck's going on while he's, like, bandaged the fuck up, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of characters that are. It's interesting that we don't get a lot of the people who are vying for the One Piece's view on what's going on with this Vegapunk message,
Right, yeah.
which is,
It's mostly just like regular people in the
regular
world
people,
and like
which I think is an
lesser
interesting
pirates
choice.
we've seen. Yeah,
Excuse me,
absolutely.
Foxy is not a lesser pirate. Watch your language.
You want to stand by that statement?
Yes,
You want to go on record saying that?
he's the goat, baby. That he's got the slow fruit. He can control slow particles. You have no idea who you're talking about.
I
Um,
love the stupid arguments of people trying to argue that like because Luffy dodged Foxy's like slow photon attacks, that he's like a light speed character.
it's all because Foxy would
Uh,
scream out slow beam every time. Um, I love Sanji saving Bonnie here. I don't have a lot to say about it.
Agree.
I
Yeah.
just love
I
Sanji.
like
At this point.
yeah, hell
Um,
yeah.
I love Sanji. I love seeing Sanji just like no hesitation kick the shit out of a elder, even though it doesn't really
Evan
do
Elder.
much to much. It doesn't accomplish much, but I love that he's willing to do it.
Hmm.
Just to protect Bonnie.
Right. Utilizing this sort of like annoying gag of like the lady radar, his
Yeah,
observation hockey being more sensitive to women in danger to be the guy who is protecting Bonnie.
yeah.
We get
Um,
fucking Duval.
we get Duval. Like it's everybody. I also love that we
Hmm.
multiple times get to see Morgan's absolutely losing his shit.
Right?
Where he's like, "What is happening? You can't tell everybody this. How am I gonna sell the paper if everybody already knows? Like, what are you doing?"
Right.
And it's very
Like
fun.
seeing in real time print media becoming obsolete.
Yeah, he's like losing his shit. We
And
also
he's
get
really upset about
we
it.
also get as Jay Garcia Saturn comes up to, I guess he's trying to get past the Straw Hats, but also doesn't want to let Nico Robin slip through his fingers. The revelation that he was fucking there in
Mm-hmm.
Ohara, which is crazy, dude. This guy is like the biggest hater of all time.
Yeah.
But regardless of how much of a hater he is, I once again want to mention that I love this group of Straw Hats all locking in together to protect Robin. Nami
Right.
screaming out, "Protect Robin. We'll
Mm-hmm.
do
And
whatever it
Zeus.
takes." Zeus going in. Usopp is charging and taking the front to
Mm-hmm.
protect Robin. Chopper in guard point. I think this is the first time we've seen guard point in like 700 chapters. Also, crazy that Chopper in guard point is just taking one of the poison tipped stabs.
Really,
That has gotta
yeah.
fucking hurt. And like, I don't know. I love seeing the crew protect Robin, and
Mm-hmm.
I love that like none of them hesitate. You know,
And
Nami is not
I love
hesitating.
that
Chopper is
Robin
not hesitating.
is this like yes, she's injured, but it feels more like she's like mentally
Yeah,
shaken so
stunned.
much that she couldn't even be the
Like even if she
like she
wasn't
couldn't
injured,
go
she could
demon
not.
mode
Yeah,
and like
she is so scared by
mhm.
a demon from her past
The
coming back.
demons of her
Literal
past.
demons of her past staring her down and threatening the
Hmm.
people that she cares about again.
Right. Hmm.
And so we begin Vegapunk's crazy fucking set of reveals as he tells us a story that
Right.
might make you laugh because it's so unbelievable. The world as we know it will sink into the sea. Oh my
Huh?
god.
Huh?
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 Huh? I guess we learned the answers to this one.
We do, really.
We do
Yeah.
learn the answers to this
What
one.
a what a crazy way to end a chapter, man. That's what I'm saying. If I was reading
Right?
this weekly,
The cliffhangers. I
I
mean,
would
to
have
be
been
fair, that
inconsolable.
is where I left for 5 days.
That's
I
true.
sat on that for 5 days because I could not physically read. And
Hmm.
oh my god, and just like getting shots like of Akainu, who I cannot
Hmm.
stand. And like even this information is even being transmitted to the bottom of Impel Down. Dofi laughing
Right.
his ass off and taunting the fucking Impel
Oh.
Down guards. He's like, "Oh, but if the world floods, how are you guys gonna protect us, huh? You're gonna fail your job." And I love that Magellan is like personally guarding Doflamingo.
Yeah.
He's that big of a fucking problem, which I'm sure
Hmm.
that he is, and will come up.
Yeah.
We keep cutting back to him
He-
in Impel Down. It's only a matter of time.
right.
Um, God, it's just there's so much shit, and we just cut to everybody, right? Like Long Ring
Literally
Longland, Pudding,
everybody.
Kuzan. It's just so good,
Hmm.
and just like the whole
Yeah.
world, and then the revelation is not gonna happen. The world's not gonna flood by some natural phenomenon, some freak accident.
Hmm.
It's happening intentionally.
Right.
And the fact that Vegapunk blames this on himself.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that, I mean it's not fair to Vegapunk, obviously.
Yeah.
But it says a lot about who he is that he believes that he flew too close to the sun with creating the mother flame
Hmm.
because it is now being used by Emu to destroy.
Hmm.
Does beg a lot of fucking questions though, right?
Mm. Right.
Cuz like what the fuck are the weapons now?
Hmm.
What are they? I think it's an important question to ask. Because for the last, since, what, since Zoe, I think, I have been operating under the theory,
I think since like Fishman Island,
Fishman
you've been
Island, at least,
having
at
this thought.
least Zoe. at latest
Hmm.
so, maybe even Fishman Island. I have been operating under what I had assumed was an assumption, and now I guess was a theory,
Hmm.
that the weapons were made up of three parts, and that they were a person that could talk to and hear the voice of the creatures, some creature, and some boat
Hmm.
or some ship.
Hmm.
But now we've introduced this semi-eternal power source that they had to steal a part of, and now they are using it to power presumably the Uranus.
Yes. Um,
Which is just so much. It adds, I mean, to me, it raises so many questions
it's
because
such an extra
it's
layer.
an extra piece
Like,
that doesn't make sense. Because now, what the fuck is the Uranus? Because
yeah.
Poseidon, which is the thing we know the most about, is
Hmm.
supposedly just Shirahoshi and her
Uh-huh.
ability to communicate and control Sea Kings.
The Sea Kings.
The Sea Kings are not wiping out a part of the ocean permanently like the Uranus
Uh-huh.
did. So what the fuck are these weapons? What the fuck does the
Right.
Noah have to do with
Like,
anything? How does the Poseidon do something to the point that it is considered on the same degree as this Uranus? Does it also need some sort of power source? But how does that work? Because it should just be Shirahoshi. Unless
right.
there's like
I
bigger
mean,
creatures in
we
the
also are still
ocean,
just assuming that that was the Uranus. We don't know that for certain.
I suppose that's true. But I mean, the way that Vegapunk describes it to me reads that it's the Uranus.
Yeah, I agree.
Because in the
I think that it
past,
is.
they used the weapons and that caused the sea level to rise, and then we just used
Hmm.
the weapon and it caused the sea level to rise again.
Hmm.
And then like what is how is there a weapon under Wano? Like how is that the case? What is
Right?
that? Is it because I just like so many
What
questions.
is the Pluton? Like
Everything I
there's
thought I knew about the
blueprints for the
weapons is not
Pluton
true.
that Frankie knows, and I got no
I have
idea,
no
man.
idea. Like everything I thought I knew about the weapons, I no longer know.
Right.
And I think I don't know, I'm just going to get into this now. I
I guess,
think
yeah.
that this new knowledge about the weapons begs the question of what the hell is Emu's goal?
Right.
Because we learned from Vegapunk that the war from 900 years ago that got erased in the Void Century is still ongoing
Uh-huh.
between presumably Emu and I guess the D clan, the people of the D, the world itself maybe. So what is their
Maybe.
goal? Is it to flood the entire world? If so, why did they not do
Why?
that before? And
Mhm.
even still, even further, why period? What do they gain from
Yeah,
doing
why
that?
period? Yeah.
They're already living at the cuz like we've already established that the celestial dragons need resources from the islands of the world in order to live up on the on
Right,
Marihua.
like Marihua isn't like a self-sustaining
Yeah, it's not
place.
self-sustaining. So if
Mhm.
they were to flood the rest of the world, Marihua would die out. And I don't
Right.
know how that benefits Emu at all, or why that they would even be wanting to do that. I don't
Right.
like are they doing it because of hubris? Are they trying to achieve something and they think that doing that will make them god or something? I don't know. Is it like and did were these weapons ever used by Joy Boy?
Right.
And if so, did he know
Uh,
the consequences? And we have to beg the question because I think it's important to note that Vegapunk multiple times mentions that he's not going to make a judgment call on who was good, who was bad in the
right.
past.
He's not judging morality here. He is just giving fact.
To me, the repeated mention of that begs the question of whether or not Joy Boy was a good guy in the first place.
Yeah.
I think it is safe to
Very interesting.
say that Emu and the world government are bad guys. They're bad guys
Uh-huh.
right now, so presumably they were bad guys 800 years ago.
but maybe they were the less bad guys
But
800
maybe
years ago. Like
maybe Joy Boy
possibly
was
Joy Boy
also
was
bad.
a villain.
Because if Joy Boy left all these messages about these weapons that can be used, and those weapons destroyed the world that existed prior, the under my conception, a supposed sci-fi world that was more advanced than Egghead Island 900 years ago, flooded. What did they say? Isn't it like 300 meters or something below the ocean now?
Yeah, something like that.
Because of using these weapons in this war? I
And
mean,
so
unless it
like
was like
okay,
a lesser
okay,
of two evils
we
thing
know
with
that we know that one of the weapons is Poseidon, a fish man. One of the weapons is a boat, Pluton. And Uranus seems to
presumably a
be
boat.
something in the sky.
Yeah.
All things that would not be affected by rising sea levels.
Right.
So are they like, oh,
But
what does it
then why do
mean?
they exist? What is their purpose
Or do they
other
exist
than
at
to
all?
why do they exist at all? What was their purpose other than to raise the sea level? Because my assumption is that raising the sea level is a side effect.
Yeah.
And so I guess my last major note on the weapons, to not get too deep into just the weapons, since most of it is I don't know, is the big question mark, is that I want to think from a metatextual perspective, and just as a heads up for those of you who probably shouldn't be here in the first place. This We're going to apolitical One Piece corner where we talk about how One Piece is political. Um,
Hmm.
and to me, I have to wonder if Oda, what he's trying to say with the weapons, and to me they are either, at least it seems like, either an allegory for nuclear weapons or for climate change,
Yeah.
because on the climate change side of things, the whole world has flooded by the overuse of these mysterious weapons that use a mysterious power source, and it is
Hmm.
literally destroying the world's ecosystem to the point that if it continues going, there will not be a world left for anyone to live on.
Hmm.
And in the same vein, you could view these weapons as nuclear weapons in the sense
Yeah.
that it was almost like a Cold War esque idea between Joy Boy and the Elder, or like Emu, in that if someone starts using the weapons, it's going to lead to a nuclear winter esque event in the sense that the whole world is flooded and there's nowhere left to live.
Right.
And so I
The
wonder if Oda is taking it in one of
everyone
those
dies.
directions. And if he is taking it in one of those directions, how does Luffy fit in? I think that's a big question for this section.
Right.
Is how does
It's
Luffy
how
fit into
does
these grander schemes?
yeah. Like what is Oda trying to say? If Oda is trying to say something like that, what does having a character like Luffy mean for that narrative he's trying to push or trying to display?
Yeah. And the answer is I don't know
Because
at the moment.
because Luffy is not like a normal character,
No, he's a weirdo. He's not a normal guy.
Like he's a character that is very unlike most other characters in media
And we've also established by this point in the story that Luffy does not care about the weapons at all.
at all.
They mentioned that the Pluton was in Wano to Luffy, and he was like, cool, whatever.
Right.
Let's go to the next
Not
island.
even like not even like a hey Jinbei, maybe you want to go check it out.
Yeah, not even like
You can swim down there.
hey Jinbei, you want to go look and make sure that everything's safe? He was like, don't care. Let's go to the next island already.
Right.
And
So
just like, oh, there's just so many questions.
yeah. I also want to bring up because we are getting now into the point where Emmett has been reawakened fully,
Yeah.
and it begs a very interesting question because we see every time that Emmett wakes up, he is hearing the drums of liberation, this sort of vibration from Gear
From
5 Luffy.
Luffy's heart. Yeah.
And we also know that Emmett woke up again 200 years ago
I didn't even think about that.
when he climbed the red line.
Oh shit.
So how?
I don't have an answer. I have literally nothing. I actually forgot that he woke up 200 years ago.
Right? Like,
But every time he wakes up here, it's because of the drums of liberty. But we know that nobody has awakened the Gum Gum fruit in
we know
800
that no one
years.
has awakened to the fruit in over 800 years. At least that the elders know of.
But how would they have
And I
missed
feel like
somebody
they're
becoming
pretty
Joy Boy?
fucking well informed.
Right? They're pretty fucking well informed. How would they have missed
So,
somebody becoming the Joy
what
Boy?
do you mean he climbed the red line and almost attacked Marihua, but then stopped once he reached the top? 200 years ago. A time
God.
period we know nothing about. Like, we've had, like, 400 years ago with, like, Nolan. We have 800 years ago, 900 years ago with the Void Century and Joy Boy. We don't know anything about the 200 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot.
It was,
My
I mean,
the
it was
only thing,
like 40, like 60 years before Kureha was born,
yeah,
or something like that.
the only thing that is coming to my mind is the big straw hat in Marihua.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's coming to my mind, is that maybe it
Mm-hmm.
has something to do with why ever the fuck there's a giant straw hat in Marihua. Because
That's a good point because
getting ahead of the
there's
Joy Boy
mm,
flashback, it's not Joy Boy's hat because he was a normal sized person. He was not a
right.
giant. So
So maybe it
whose
has something to do
hat
with
is that?
Elbaf.
Maybe? I don't
Maybe
know,
there's
man.
I mean, like, we know that there's sun god relationships with
With
Elbaf,
Elbaf, that's true.
but it was also like very short lived. We like the 200 years ago, uh, time that Emmett woke up. Like, he just climbed the red line and then stopped once he got there. So, like, whatever the quote unquote Joy Boy that he was reacting to couldn't have lasted very long, you know?
Yeah.
But so, like, maybe it's like a false Joy Boy or something where, like, there was like
Maybe. I don't know. I really have no idea. I wish I had
maybe
an
it's the
answer.
guy who actually has the gum gum fruit,
We've
and
established that
Emmett
the
got
Gum Gum fruit doesn't
confused.
exist, according to
We have
Vegapunk.
established it, but I still think it's funny to joke
It
about.
is funny to joke about. I don't know. It's a very interesting question about Emmett that I had not even considered. Um,
Yeah.
I also want to take a brief mention of the reason I've been sitting on this page. I guess you guys can't see it,
Uh-huh.
but peeling the curtain, the reason I've been sitting on this page during this whole discussion is this one line from one of the Celestial Dragons, because we get a shot of the Celestial Dragons witnessing Vegapunk's speech,
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
she
I totally
says,
forgot about this.
"Void Sentry?" Question mark. What is that?
The celestial dragons
Dragons
don't
don't know.
even know about the Void
They
Century.
don't know,
At least most of them
or at
probably
least most
don't.
of them. So whatever is in the Void Sentry is not there to keep necessarily the Celestial Dragons in their position of power. Whatever
Right.
it is has to do with the elders and Emu, because they are
And
the people
Emu
who desperately
exclusively.
they are the people who are desperately trying to stop any information about it from getting out. It
Hmm.
is the elders who all coalesce to try and stop this message. It's the elders who keep trying to get Nico Robin killed.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting, and I don't know.
What benefit does keeping the celestial dragons in the dark about
Yeah,
this?
I really don't
And
know.
then what benefit do the celestial dragons pose to the elders? Like, why do they even keep these guys around? Like, they're just leeches who live in Marihua and do their gross slavery bullshit.
But to what end?
Like, why even keep these guys around? What is their purpose for the elders in Emu?
I don't know. It's a huge
I
amount of
don't know.
questions.
I don't know. It's just a question. I have no fucking
I got
idea.
no clue. Um,
Oh,
to to not get hung up on every word from Vegapunk's speech,
right.
let's move forward a little bit. We learned that Joy Boy was the first man to ever be called a pirate, which is really cool
Yeah,
information.
that's really interesting.
That the
Uh,
concept of pirates did not exist until
yeah,
whatever
the
Joy Boy
concept of
did.
piracy was started by Joy Boy.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Can we talk about
Oh, we can talk about
can we
them.
talk about
Yeah. We could
the
talk about
fake
the
kid
fake kid
pirates?
pirates, which is one of the funniest jokes Oda has ever done.
Like when we say everyone came back for this fucking to hear this message, everyone came back. And it's
Everyone came
not
back.
just that it's the fake Straw Hat pirates in what they would normally wear, like whatever they were before the fake Straw Hats. They're they're still trying to do their thing and have now taken on the identities of the kid pirates.
Pirates. And also, if Kid is really dead, this is maybe even funnier.
This is maybe way funnier.
I really hope Kid's not dead, but
I don't think Kid's dead.
Killer might be. This might be the last time we see Killer is fake Killer.
Shut up.
I think Killer's dead. I'm willing to say that.
I think he is too, but I don't want him to
I
be.
don't want him to be either. Anyways, not talking about Kid. He does not show up in this section.
Yeah. Back to the real
Um,
plot.
we learn a little bit of stuff we already knew, kind of like that Joy Boy was against the modern day world government.
Hmm.
It's just like, so many questions. Therein lies the problem about this energy source. These guys were so advanced, and all of it doesn't exist anymore.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just like, how did the Void Century exist, man? Like, how did they erase this from history? I just don't know.
Right? Like
I just don't
what
know.
sort of measures did they have to go through to like literally erase this any knowledge of this time period from history?
Yeah. And like just the idea, I mean, literally we were on a Pangea,
Hmm.
and now we're on, it's almost like in a way that similar to how Dressrosa was sort of molded into a microcosm of the world. Wano is sort of a microcosm of the world as it existed.
Right.
The old Wano has literally been flooded, and they're now living on the top of the mountain that used to be a big tall mountain and now is not as tall of a mountain. And that's the
Hmm.
world we live in now.
Right. It's the exact same.
Which in a way makes me wonder even more about the red line.
Yeah.
Because when the whole world was one big continent, was there just a giant sheer cliff face that wrapped around the whole world?
I don't think
I
so.
doubt
I
it.
I I'm fully on board. I believe that the red line is man-made.
Yeah, I really doubt it.
Hmm.
God, it's so strange.
Hmm.
We already were on this earlier. I want to keep moving. I want to try and
Yeah, we're gonna try to get a
try and
little
do this in a
to
somewhat
the
reasonable amount of time. Yamato. Um, it's just like what is, and like he keeps mentioning this power source,
Mhm.
this energy, this I just like I don't know. It's so confusing to me of
Yeah.
like, and how does this power source not exist? Like surely the five elders would have kept it, right?
Right. And
So
so
why do they
like
need to steal the mother flame to power their weapon? It just doesn't add up to me.
maybe that's why the world got flooded was to like snuff out any possibility of like the elders and whatever the world government was from getting this power, from getting that technology that the ancient kingdom had.
Yeah,
Like it was like a self-destruct button almost of just like bury it all.
yeah. And once again,
Mhm.
bringing up, I sort of mentioned this earlier, the point that Joy Boy is the one that attempted to preserve these weapons that have flooded the entire world for the future. Why?
Right.
You would think, under our assumption, considering that we've seen Emu flood the world a little bit, and that we know that Joy Boy was opposed to the world government, that he would be the one stopping the weapons from being preserved for the future.
Right.
So do they have another purpose? Is there a way of using them that doesn't flood the world?
Hmm.
It's just it's so very confusing, right?
Yeah.
And then we get to another interesting point that I want to be hung up on, which is the crew of the
Yeah.
King of the Pirates, the only people in the
Uh-huh.
world who know the whole truth, other than presumably maybe Emu and the Five Elders,
Right.
is the crew of the King of the Pirates minus Shanks and Buggy.
Hmm.
And with all that
So,
information, with the knowledge of the entire history of the world, the knowledge of the weapons, the knowledge of everything, they chose to do nothing. They disbanded
yeah.
and they went into hiding. Why?
And something that I noticed and told Lad about was if you look at we know two former Roger Pirates who aren't Buggy and Shanks. And what are they doing right now? They're in their retirement.
They're in their
We know
retirement.
Crocus, who lives inside of a whale, and we know Rayleigh, who is a shipcoder in Sabaody. Two things that, if the world were to flood, would leave them safe and protected.
Exactly.
So why?
So what
Why
is
did
the
why
goal
are they prepared to survive the world flooding, but didn't do anything
about
when they
it?
found out about the world flooding or whatever they found out at Laughtail?
Yeah. And I've done some thinking on this
All
because I
right.
think there's a couple interesting pieces. For one, you have Roger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I keep thinking back to Roger laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, that does not read in the way, like, laughing at Joy Boy's story, wishing he could have met him. That to me does not follow into, all right, guys, I want you all to go into hiding and stay safe, and I'm going to go die of illness.
Yeah.
Especially when Roger's dying move was to inspire the whole world to chase after the One Piece, whatsoever it may
Right.
be. So I am wondering about what it is that Roger told Rayleigh and Shanks. Because you got to think there is one other member of the crew whose initial reaction to the end of Laugh Tale and Roger going to die was to give up. And it was Shanks.
Oh, you're
Because
right.
Shanks got a message from Roger that Buggy did not get. So what the hell
Uh-huh.
did Roger tell Rayleigh and presumably Crocus and Shanks that made them all give up? And what has changed
Or at
now,
least wait.
or at least wait, and what has changed now that Shanks is going? But there's one other member of Roger's crew that we know about
Yeah.
that's very important and different, I think, crucially, than Crocus and Rayleigh and Shanks. And his
Yeah.
name is Kozuki Oden.
Oh.
Because what did Odin do after learning the truth of the world? He returned to Wano with the intention of opening its borders.
Orders.
And presumably, if he had learned the whole truth of the world, he would know what that meant.
Right.
Opening the borders opens the door for Joy Boy's return and lets free the Pluton.
Pluton.
And that is the opposite of what Rayleigh and Crocus have done.
Right.
Odin went out fighting for some future.
Mm-hmm.
So why was Odin different than Rayleigh and Crocus and Shanks? Maybe it's because he didn't know Roger as long as the rest of them did. He was only with them for a year. Maybe that's just who Kozuki Oden was. He was a man who could not be put in a small box. And the idea of preparing for a future where the world floods is inherently antithetical to the kind of man that Kozuki Oden is? I don't know. But I think it's interesting to note that Kozuki Oden, at least to me, it seems, was trying to make a move forward rather than trying to prepare for the worst like the rest of them. And it's just, I don't know. I'm very curious about Roger's goal, because if Roger wanted the crew to wait, then why did he start the chase for the One Piece? And what was his ultimate plan? Was he hoping that a person like himself that didn't have not enough time would show up, and that maybe that would be the impetus for change that he was not able to accomplish by himself because he's gonna die? I don't know. Uh, it's a big question that I don't have an answer to. Um, and I think there's just, I don't know, there's so much to Roger's crew and what's going on there.
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting that Odin, along with I will mention, along with Buggy, he did. I mean, he was doing his own thing in Orangetown and like doing East Blue shit, but he also was like not like he didn't get that message from Roger. He was still just going off on his own, doing his own thing. But Odin being the one who wants to take down the borders of Wano and release Pluton is super interesting. Why he's different. I
Yeah,
think
I just think
I don't
it's
know. I'm
important.
I'm
I
just
think
trying
him
to
being different is important,
yeah.
but I don't really
Like
know why.
I don't really know why. I'm gonna have to think more about that.
Okay.
Because it feels like I'm gonna have to reread some stuff to figure out a real answer for that.
For sure. So I think one final note on the Roger Pirates is a line from
Mhm.
Rayleigh, as like lined up at the same
Yeah.
time as Vegapunk is questioning himself. Why did they not act? Why did they drift apart? Why didn't they tell anyone anything? And Rayleigh,
Hmm.
in a drunken stupor, says, "Don't rob the youngins of all the fun, right, Roger?" It's very interesting because to
Mm.
me, and I guess I didn't mention this earlier. I forgot to mention this as I was doing my whole spiel about them earlier. There is a line way back in
Hmm.
Sabaody. I forget
Yeah.
what prompts it, but it's to do with when Usopp makes the comment about like, well, just tell us everything, and Luffy's like, don't you fucking dare! I will quit being a pirate this instant if
Yeah.
Rayleigh tells us the truth about the One Piece and what all the secrets are. And Rayleigh says to
Hmm.
Robin something along the lines of like, I wouldn't want to tell you anyways because you
Ye-
might come to a different conclusion than we did. And I think that is a crucially important
Very
line,
interesting.
in that maybe the reason they haven't
This like in
acted.
in a same way of like oh yeah, go. Do
Yeah,
you
and you all you're thinking I can yap. Um in maybe the same way of like, the reason they didn't act is because Roger wasn't there to act with them, so he wanted them to wait for the next
hmm
generation to come to their own conclusion about what should be done with this knowledge, whatever it is that the knowledge of the One Piece holds. Because I don't know, I'm really curious. I think
hmm
this section to me has raised a lot of questions about what the One Piece could be, because it
Yeah,
seems like I
absolutely.
mean, it could just be the final poneglyph, the final piece of knowledge, and I think there is a final poneglyph there. But
Hmm.
what is it that
But it feels like there's something
it
else.
feels like there's something else, something that Roger wanted the world to find, but he didn't want to tell the world. And maybe that's
Right.
just
And
part
it
of like,
also is
maybe that's part of Roger
it's
being
the way
the
that
kind of person similar to Luffy, and like the he would rather the world go on the journey to find the truth than to just tell it. But
Hmm.
why?
Yeah.
There's got to be something to it, I think.
I, I think it's interesting that in the same way that Vegapunk is saying right now that he's just telling you the facts and not, assigning any like blame or, good or evil to what he's saying. Rayleigh kind of said the same thing. It was like, you might come to a different conclusion than we did. Like, you might
Yeah.
have a different opinion.
I don't want to tell you all the facts because the
So
facts are malleable.
whatever the final, whatever you find out on Laugh Tale isn't like black and white of like, the ancient kingdom was a society of pure good and the world government is pure evil and we need to beat those guys up. Like it is at least somewhat gray of what the
What the
right
truth of
thing
this
to
world
do
is.
is.
What the truth of the world is and
Yeah.
what needs to be done as a result of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but moving forward, I love one of my favorite of the cameos that we get during this section is of Mont Blanc, Nolan's descendant, who I can't remember the name of right
Cricket.
now. Cricket, thank you. And the Monkey Brothers, who
Yeah.
are
and
like,
and the
"There's a
Monkey Brothers.
whole world down there for us to dive." Now that's the stuff of dreams, baby. I love that. I
Hell
love that
yeah.
so much, especially with like
Mm-hmm.
that paired with the full lead pirates being like, the city of gold's been underwater the whole time, as if like Cricket was not trying to dive that whole time for it, and it's not literally in the sky. Is
Right.
just so it's so good.
Yeah. Right.
It's such a nice connection back to that. But I love the idea of these guys hearing
Hmm.
this news and being like, "There's a whole world down there for us to find." Is super fun.
Yeah. Being like, oh, really? That's our shit, dude.
That's our shit. That's our dream right there. Um,
Right.
And then we get some shots of a couple different things that are confusing to me. We get a shot of Drake. And this is all we get of Drake. It's just one shot of him somberly
Yeah,
listening
just
to
one shot of
everything.
him
And
sitting
presumably
in the
listening to
hospital.
the chat that Kobe and the others are having. And then we cut to Smoker, who's
Hmm.
going somewhere. Where is Smoker going?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Is he
Smoker is such an interesting character who does not get nearly enough screen time as I want him to get,
Yeah.
and he's
He's
clearly
and he's a
clearly
man on a
on a
mission
mission. He's
here.
he's on his cool little motorcycle thing.
He's a man on a mission here. He's on his motorcycle thing by himself. He's left Tashigi behind.
Hmm.
Or maybe I guess he's asking Tashigi where she is, so maybe he's heading to her to get her to do
Oh,
something about
maybe.
Straw Hat. I don't know. I just think it's interesting to have Smoker seemingly on a mission going somewhere in the new
Right.
world.
Most of the people we get cameos from in this section are just like sitting down watching, and Smoker is moving. He's
Yeah,
doing something
Smoker's
here.
on the move, which feels different. And
Hmm.
maybe it's just that I want Smoker to get screen time because I love Smoker, and I would like for him to be a character that is not a victim of this story's ever increasing scale, like him and Tashigi just are.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's interesting. I'd like to
I don't
learn
know. I want
more
I,
about
I
what he's
want to
up to.
believe that Oda's doing something with Smoker here.
Yeah. Um. God, and the five elders, and then we get this: the one of the five elders, the scary horseman, has the third
Mhm.
Katetsu.
Yeah.
Presumably Katetsu the
Zoro
first, because
is
Zoro
currently
has
is currently wielding
third, and the
Katetsu the
second
third right
was
now.
in one. I think he has the third, and the second was in Wano.
Yeah, he has
I
he has
could
the
be
third.
flipping them,
It was in Wano, and so presumably this guy has Katetsu the first,
which is crazy to
which
me.
I don't know why. Like I don't
Why
know.
establish
It
that? Why
means
is that
something, but I don't know what
important?
it means.
Right? Like, why is
Right,
that
exactly.
important? Why is the Katetsu important? The Katetsu has not really been important for a long time,
And the
outside of it
Katetsu is
being a
the
cursed sword.
cursed blade, right?
That's the cursed sword, yes. The cursed sword
Yeah,
that he's had since Logetown, which
yeah,
is a long ass time ago. 1,000 chapters to
right.
be precise.
And we kind of established a little bit in Wano that like maybe a cursed sword isn't necessarily cursed. It just has a strong will of its own and needs a
Yeah.
strong master to like wield it. in a almost zone fruit-esque way.
Yeah. But
Um,
like,
but like
why
it's
establish that
interesting
he
that they
has the
are
same
pointing
sword?
it out and establishing it, and we get nothing else on it though.
Yeah, it's something that feels important, and I don't know why it's important.
Right.
Uh,
I like a lot of these designs for these new giant guys.
yeah,
I
they're
just think
fun.
that they're
I just like seeing the giants.
cool.
I'm excited to see more of them in
Uh-huh.
Elbaf. I'm certain it's Oda's wheelhouse of
Hmm.
drawing silly, weird looking guys, and that's sort of what the giants let him do.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
have
And then I think we're getting to the next most important part of the
of the
Vegapunk
Vegapunk
message,
speech,
which Oda does the thing that he loves doing
which is
and says it without saying it.
incessant without saying it. But he has one final message to impart to those who bear the name of D. And we see strong reactions. I think it's interesting that we get a reaction from Sabo and Kobe. Sabo, because, we've established prior that he is supposedly the person who is most affected by, the D in the whole world. And then you have Kobe, who hears this and immediately thinks of Luffy. And I think it's interesting that he's got like a hold there, that he makes that connection.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
because it
yeah,
seems
very
like something that
interesting.
he wouldn't necessarily like. It's interesting to pull Kobe because I feel like Kobe doesn't have to be here to be like, oh, Luffy and Garp, those people that I care about, those are
Right.
D people.
Hmm.
Whereas like it's not as strange to me that we see Beppo being like, oh, the captain,
Right. Or Sabo going ace Luffy,
Luffy,
and we see Dragon and Teach who
who
are
are
both
both like,
D's.
what kind of message do they have for us? What's he
Right.
going to say? God, and the fact that Vivi doesn't even know it's a message for her. She doesn't even know.
Right. Oh, she doesn't
God,
even
she
know.
doesn't
You're
even
right.
fucking know.
Uh,
Oh, it's so crazy. But we get there's just so much shit about the D, man, that we just don't know
right.
because the elders knock Emmett underwater. Also, I want this is the moment to mention the elders go into the water and are unfazed.
Yeah, this is
So not normal devil fruit
one of
behavior.
the bigger points of contention for them not being at least regular devil fruit users.
Yeah.
They are something else.
But the elders managed to
Um,
cut off Vegapunk's message about the D, which
mhm.
sucks because I would like to hear it.
I want to
I
know.
want to know, Oda. I want to know.
Hmm.
Um, and then we get one of my
Oh,
favorite moments in the whole thing.
this rules.
One of the
Hey,
best
if you don't like
moments.
this moment, you're dumb and don't get this story.
Surely there's nobody that doesn't like
I
this
don't know what to
moment.
tell
That
you.
cannot be possible.
People, no, people. There's a at least vocal minority of people. I don't know who all it is who are very vocally against Bonnie going Gear 5 here.
That's ridiculous. This is an
Yeah.
incredible moment.
Hey, maybe learn reading comprehension skills, bozo.
Maybe learn reading comprehension skills, Bozo, because this shit made me cry when I saw it.
Yeah, this shit's gas.
As she's been witnessing Nika jump around, giggling and laughing, doing his whimsical stuff, she can truly believe that that future exists. A future where she is the
Right.
most free.
Hmm.
As Kuma, whatever is left of his consciousness, watches his daughter become free. Ugh.
Oh,
And Luffy just
it's so
laughing
good, man. It's
along the
so good.
the drums in the
Laughing his
background,
ass
laughing
off.
his ass off. Now you've got it. And now she's not drawn with the same hyper detail she was before. Now she's cartoony
Right.
just like he
She's
is.
she's cartoony.
She's free.
Uh-huh.
And it's the appearance of a second Nika that sort of wakes Emmett back up in the ocean. Like he
That
still
yeah,
hears the drums.
reawakens Emmett. Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about this
Oh,
though
here's
before we get
the
to this.
Kaku Stussy thing.
We've had a couple
Yeah,
interminutes of Kaku Stussy that I didn't really mention,
yeah.
but this final moment between the two of them where Stussy has been told multiple times by multiple people that she should leave. Like all of the Vegapunks were like,
Mm-hmm.
"Please, Stussy." Like what was it? Edison specifically literally sacrifices himself so that she doesn't have to stay behind. And
Mm-hmm.
multiple times throughout the different intercuts, we get she's like, "No, I have to do this final mission for the people that I care about." And Kaku keeps like taunting her, like, "They've left you behind too, huh? It's not just me. Ironic, since you
Right.
betrayed us, and now we're both worthless to them." And now, in this final moment, as the place is crumbling down, Kaku tells Stussy to go,
Yeah.
and he's putting on this front of, you have to leave now because I'm gonna kill you. Once Lucci gets back
Yeah.
here, I'm not gonna be able to stop him from killing you. You get that,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't think we were friends, do you?
Uh,
As she
and you see
tears
his face
his
cloaked in shadow as he
as he's
clearly
he,
doesn't mean what he's
he
saying.
clearly doesn't mean what he's saying, yelling at her to go, probably because he doesn't know that he can stop himself, or maybe just because he wants her to get out without the
Yeah,
world crumbling on
I
them.
think he just cares about Stussy still.
These
Like
people,
I
these
like we
CP0
had the
agents, they
whole we had the
care.
whole we had a whole CP9 cover story about like them getting Lucci to the doctor and getting him better. Being this this group of people who have spent so much time together. And yeah, they're government agents who are supposed to be these tools to
Ruthless
be
killing
to be used and
machines.
thrown away.
But
And
maybe
yet
they care
their
about each
humanity
other.
has to persist.
It has persisted in spite of that. And it's almost a little microcosm of Annie's lobby, you
Yeah.
know? Of like it's almost a microcosm of Robin and the Straw Hats.
Mhm.
All playing out in these small little moments, learning that these CP0 people are human, or at least some of them are.
Yeah.
There's something
Hmm.
left in them that cares. You
Yeah.
know, like it is within Kaku's entire amount of power to probably kill Stussy here because she's not running away,
Right. Like
and yet
she's
he
she's
begs for her to make it
crying,
out
breaking down.
because
Like
she cares about
Kaku is
them.
incredibly powerful.
And like, yeah, he's
He
injured,
has the all the powers of a giraffe.
all the powers of a
So
giraffe, which is a lot to clarify,
yeah, limitless.
limitless power. And the fact that we
But no, to
cliffhang
be
on
serious, like
this with them is
right,
important to
like we
me.
don't see the end of this conversation. We don't see what Stussy chooses. We don't see what Kaku does.
We don't see what Kaku chooses. We don't see what Stussy says to Kaku.
Yeah.
We don't know if these two are even alive.
Yeah.
Because the punk records, like the whole lab is crumbling, the whole place is coming down, the buster call is still gonna happen even if the straw hats get away,
Hmm.
and it's been made clear that the elders give couldn't even possibly give a shit if they make it out alive.
Right.
So I really do wonder if Kaku and Stussy are gonna make it out, and if they do, where they go next. Because I
Yeah. And
part of
also,
me
what does
wants,
that mean for someone like Lucci?
yeah, what does that mean for someone like Lucci? Because a part of me wants these three to make it out and become a trio that splits off from this government that is willing to spit them out like
Hmm.
into the trash and throw them away the moment they're a broken tool. But I also
Right.
wonder what happens to a person like Lucci if Kaku doesn't make it out.
Yeah.
If the person that he cared enough
In a
about to
similar way of
beg
what
to
we
an
were
elder,
talking about a while back of like what happens to a guy like Kid if all of his companions are killed. A guy like Lucci seems like he might go a little
he might go
uh
off the rails. And I am really
yeah.
interested in seeing what a version of Lucci like that does.
Hmm.
And I wish that we weren't cliffhanged on this, and I hope we get something in Elbath from these characters. and we don't have to sit on this
I
cliffhanger
hope so,
for three
but who
years, but we
knows?
probably are. So, anyways, back to the silly, funny gum man, who I love oh so dearly.
Yeah,
Um, and he comes
we
up
get
with the
this.
biggest, dumbest ideas with his new Dawn balloon, taking as many
Hmm.
hits as he can so that
And
he
then
can
using the force of those attacks to launch the bird guy
guy
into the fucking
into the
stratosphere.
stratosphere, Buggy the Clown style.
Right.
Because if they can't kill him, they can at
And we
least
and we
get him
see and we
away.
see like we see a little later on like Jupiter just like goes back to the room that they
Yeah.
all hang out in after this.
He
Like
just
he's
he doesn't come back, which I think is interesting. Like, what is stopping him from teleporting back in with another circle? What's stopping them from making the
right.
summons again?
Who
And then we come
knows?
back to the conversation about the D, with Vegapunk cutting back
Yeah.
in, but actually nothing of the sort, which you might consider a will inherited through the years. Only pray that those at the mercy of this reason will be able to hear this message. What is he fucking talking about, man? What did
What
the
did he
D know?
say?
What did he say? I want to mention that Katakuri shows up here, my goat,
Yeah.
um, who is one of the many loose threads about this story that are still there. And I don't know how he's
Yeah.
gonna come back, but I can't wait to see him again.
Hmm.
Ugh, it's just so interesting, man. This whole section, you know?
There's so much, man.
There's so many details that I feel stun locked by them.
Right.
Speaking of details to get
We get
stun locked
another.
by, 26 years ago at Punk Hazard, as we have
Yeah.
Clover desperately begging Vegapunk to join them in the research about the truth of the world.
Hmm.
And we get this snippet from Clover where he describes him seeing a man with the name of the D killed before his eyes for no reason other than that name. And that's his fucking brother.
Hmm.
And Clover was a D the whole goddamn time.
The whole time?
What do you mean? And this is also, I think, the first instance we've ever seen of someone being killed because of the name D, right?
Yeah.
We've never seen someone be ostracized because of it before.
Uh-huh.
Which to me begs the question of, has something changed? Have they been trying to erase the name of D to the point that people aren't even like ostracizing it because the world government has made such an effort for it not to exist? I don't know.
Maybe?
But
But
cause like, I mean, they're trying to make
I
it
don't
such
know.
that people like Luffy's name don't have a D or Roger's name doesn't have a D.
Hmm.
I don't know. Why? Why? Why?
Hmm. And then getting all, the Vegapunk's reaction to what happened to Ohara, to
Yeah.
his friend Clover.
Yeah, his friend Clover dying, Nico Robin making it out, fucking Caesar Clown making fun of the guy's death, you stupid piece of shit, who I hate.
I hate that guy.
I hate that stupid clown. He wishes he was a cool clown like Buggy the Clown.
True.
Um, and then Atlas
We have
sacrifices
Atlas.
herself as well to get Lilith out, which is
Hmm.
really interesting. I just don't know. I'm
Right.
really curious about, since with Lilith being the last person, the last Vegapunk,
Hmm. Yeah.
that we've chosen the evil one to be the one that stays.
Right.
Um, and I wonder if that's going to have any rippling consequences or not.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but we still have a Vegapunk, which I think is crucially important. Even if it's a Vegapunk that doesn't know anything about what, you know, the Stella and Shaka
Yeah.
and Pythagoras learned, because they're all
Hmm.
dead. So And Emmett's
Hmm.
Emmett interacting with Luffy. I'm so fascinated by these supposed former members of Joy Boy's crew.
Right?
The
We have
way that
Zunaisha
they
and Emmett.
Zunaisha and Emmett, a giant elephant and a giant robot, which are both
Hmm.
so strange, you know? And as we've established,
Yeah.
or we're going to establish in the flashback, Joy Boy was not like a huge giant guy.
No.
And yet these people, these giant, unfathomable creatures, are loyal to him entirely, to the point that hearing his
Hmm.
heartbeat centuries later spurs them into action.
Right?
I'm so happy I get to fight for you again, Joy Boy. It's just so strange. I just don't know.
Yeah. And we hear Luffy is talking to Emmett here, and then it's revealed a little bit later on that this is him hearing the voice of all things or whatever,
Yeah, from
because no one
Emmett.
else could hear
No one
Emmett.
else can hear Emmett. I'm still so confused about the hearing the voice of all. There's just so many questions, you know? I mean it's hard to just
Right?
keep reiterating that I don't know what's happening, but that's
So
really
many
the long
questions.
and short of it is like I just don't know. Um
Yeah.
uh, Also crazy that Vegapunk reveals the name Goldie Roger to the world,
True.
which the world did not know
Yeah.
about. Which I
Hmm.
regularly forget that the world does not know that his name is Goldie
The
Roger.
world doesn't know that that is his name.
Um, and there's just like it's just the rippling effects of everything about this is so crazy to me.
Hmm.
You know,
Like
um,
we're getting all this information. Like we've called like 3 arcs Reverie Part 2, but this really,
this arc is Reverie Part Two for sure.
yeah. And we get,
And we get
oh,
this shot is really interesting to me. I know you were interested by this one too. The machinations of history and
yeah.
fate seem to insist upon the obliteration of those last descendants of rare races. And we get a shot of Kuma, who is a buccaneer, Whitebeard talking about Lunarians, and Pudding, who has 3 eyes. What do
Mhm.
they have to do with everything? I really don't know.
What are these quote unquote rare races like a remnant of? What, like
Why is it
why are they
important?
rare? Were they like genocided?
Were they
Did they die
genocided?
out for other
For
reasons?
other reasons? Were they part of the war? Were they allied with Joy Boy? It's so.
I think it's really interesting that Pudding is here because I just assumed that like the 3-eyed people were
I assumed they were
like the
something
long
like,
legs or
yeah, like
long
the long
arms
arms and
that
the
we just
long legs.
hadn't
I
seen
assumed,
yet.
yeah, that's what I thought too.
But it seems like that is not the case. It seems like she is some sort of rare race
Some
that
sort of rare
Lin Lin
race that Lin somehow found a guy who was one. I guess he's dead now or not around anymore.
maybe,
And just
but who
what is
knows? I mean, who fucking knows?
and what is their what are these rare races'
Also,
roles in all of this? You know,
I guess this is confirmation that King isn't dead, right?
presumably this doesn't look like
Because
a
we see
flashback
it's
shot
like
of
we
him.
see him here like, yeah, this looks like he's just here like bandaged up after the battle.
So presumably, I guess they didn't all get killed by Ryokugyu at the end of Wano.
Yeah.
Um, and then just the beautiful cap
So,
off of this whole section.
mhm.
As we flash back to many different pieces of the Kuma backstory. You'll pay for what you did to my daddy and what you did to my mommy. You people aren't gods, but gods do exist. And so do heroes. I wish we could have lived together as a family. There were times I wanted to die if I had to be alone. But I won't. I'm going to live. Because they wanted me to be alive. I fucking love Bonnie, man.
Dude,
I just fucking love Bonnie. And that Kuma and
Oh,
Jinny did all of this just so that she could live. And she's going to. Because Luffy's here.
mhm.
They made it. They were able, like, Kuma, even, not
He
even there.
found
Kuma's gone.
Nika.
Kuma was able to protect her just long enough to find Nika, to find the person he always told
Mhm.
her was out there. And we get the beautiful Liberation Nika punch, which I cannot wait to see animated.
Yeah.
And I love the way
Hmm.
that like she is doing one hit, Luffy is doing most of the work, but he's doing it
Hmm.
for her to make her
Right.
believe in the future. And I really love it. It would be so easy for Luffy to overpower this frame because he is the one
Right.
doing like 20 hits at once with a Dawn
Most,
Gatling,
yeah. But
but
hers is right in the
she is
middle,
the center.
and she's
She is the heart
front
of
and
the whole
center.
attack.
Hmm.
As and this whole thing with the Nika punch being intertwined with Vegapunk saying Roger died 25 years ago, Whitebeard died 2 years ago, but the fall of these legends was merely a prologue of the new era. And now these people who refuse to buckle under any and all suppression, they are the ones who are the closest to the truth, ironically enough. Then again, perhaps it was Roger who sent them there. As we cut to the Straw Hats falling out of the
Oh
sky.
boy.
I fucking love it.
Also, hold on, go back.
Yeah, I'll go back.
This looks like the most damage we've ever seen Saturn take.
Yeah, he gets fucked up
And
by
he
this.
is and
But I
he is
mean,
like, yeah, he is fucked up.
he gets pretty fucked up by this, but he's still, I mean, they all teleport away and are fine. Eventually. We'll get to
Right.
that. Um,
Hmm.
as we're cutting to I just love this whole fucking moment. It's so good.
Yeah.
The person who winds up with it might not be the one Joy Boy desired as we cut to Pirate Island full of lead. Hideout of Emperor
Hmm.
Blackbeard. The Red Force, ship of Emperor Redhair. Empty Bluffs Island, hideout of Emperor Buggy. Marine HQ. There is no stopping the tide. The fate of the world now rests in the hands of the one who finds it. The person who lays claim to the One Piece.
And this panel
Fucking chills.
has impact,
This
dude.
channel, this panel has so much
You see the
impact.
you see the four emperors, all of them smiling and laughing. Everyone else is stoic. You see a Kainu dragon, some guy with a sword, Ibu, Kobe, Kuzan, Figureland, and Sabo, all resolute in doing in going towards the One Piece, contrasted with the emperors, Buggy, Teach, Luffy, and Shanks.
Who are chasing the One Piece with joy, a smile.
Hmm.
And I think it's such an interesting, and we talked about this earlier in the week, it's such an interesting collection of characters that are on this page.
Yeah.
The collective group that are chasing the One Piece. You have a Kainu.
Specifically, I think
You have Dragon. I
the
think
most interesting three are Kuzan, Kobe, and whoever is cloaked in shadow.
I would agree. I also think I don't know. I think this whole bottom half is interesting. I think really other than
Yeah.
Emu, Dragon, and Akainu because they feel fairly obvious.
Mhm.
But you have Kobe, who we learn, I guess, is chasing after the One Piece to stop Luffy's dream, which is a big question mark
Yeah.
for me, which we'll get to in a minute. Kuzan is
Mhm.
really fascinating because you'd think that he would not be separate from Blackbeard. It's not
Yeah,
like we
right?
see Van Augur or Lafitte. Why Kuzan?
Mhm.
What is it that Kuzan desires? Is he? I mean, we know, I guess, that he's
We
not
also
fully allied with Blackbeard. He's just mostly allied with
right.
Blackbeard. And
We also see
Figurland.
Sabo of apart from Dragon.
Sabo apart from Dragon, facing opposite directions, perhaps wanting to chase the One Piece for different reasons. What could those reasons be? I don't even fully know why Dragon necessarily wants the One Piece, other than maybe that it could give him the power to topple the world government.
Right.
But then why is Sabo separate from that? Why is Fiegerlit one of the people? He doesn't seem that
Right.
important to me at all. Why would the I mean maybe this is he a representation of the celestial dragons wishing to chase after the One Piece to gain it for
Maybe,
themselves?
but
What about the fact that he's related to Shanks? That's something.
yeah,
And then there's this mysterious character below Dragon who's cloaked in shadow.
yeah, someone holding a sword.
Someone holding a sword reminiscent of like Shanks's sword, but that's not Shanks because
and
Shanks is already
and
up there.
and Figurlin's sword,
And it's not Figureland
because
because
they have
Figureland is already
nearly
over there.
identical swords.
So who the
So it's someone
hell is
else.
this? Someone else who is moved and is one of the most important people chasing after the One Piece, and we have no idea who they are.
We don't even know who they are.
Could they be the mythical person with an eye patch? Maybe. Could they be someone on Elbaf? Maybe. Could they be? I mean, they can't be one of the. Because the issue is like, it's got to be somebody we don't know, right? Most likely.
Yeah, because if it just wouldn't make any sense
Like,
for them to be cloaked in shadow like
like
this.
why cloak them in
If
shadow if
we had
they're
seen them
unless it is somebody that has changed
like
dramatically, right?
yeah, that's the other thing,
But
is if
who
it's
could it
someone
even? But who could it be that's changed dramatically
who it would be like who there would be narrative reason to
to
not
hide?
show.
But like the only person I
Yeah,
can
to
think
hide.
of that that could be is maybe like Kid, and that's not Kid. Almost assuredly, that's not Kid.
Or like Smoker, but that's definitely not
Could be
Smoker.
Smoker, but that's not his Jite. Like Eneru, but Eneru doesn't wield a sword, so it's not fucking Eneru.
No,
And I don't think he gives a shit about the One Piece.
no.
I don't know, but it's really fascinating.
I feel like it has to be someone else.
And I
And
think that,
that's definitely not Yoru, so it's not fucking Mihawk.
yeah,
You know, we're looking at like swordsmen, and that's not a huge
not a huge
crop of
pool.
people in this story.
And a lot of them are on this page or work with somebody who's on this page already, right?
Right.
Like it's not Shiryu of the Rain, it's not Zoro, it's not Shanks, it's not Mihawk,
Hmm.
it's not Fujitora, you know?
Right.
So I don't know who
And
this could
so
be.
someone who is as important to the story as everyone else on this page
And we've
has
not
yet
met
to
them
be
yet.
introduced,
Is unbelievable. Truly unbelievable.
which I think is something that we had talked about. We want to just like mention all of the loose ends that are still up in the air in this story.
Yeah. You have things like
Obviously, you
Katakuri and
have
Whole Cake Island. You have Sabo delivering the message about Vivi to Luffy and Vivi. You have Fishman
mhm,
Island,
you have
which
the
Luffy promised to
prophecy on
return
Fishman
to. The
Island.
promise to return to Wano from Luffy again. He's promised to return to three
Hmm.
places. The thread that Fishman Island
Right.
is going to be destroyed by Monkey D. Luffy, or at least caught in flames by Monkey D. Luffy. That hasn't happened.
Hmm.
You
And then
have
all these other
all these
characters
other
who
characters,
are
Rob Lucci, all these people falling in the cracks.
Kizaru.
Kizaru. And somebody on this page is going to be the one that pulls together every single one of those loose ends, I think.
Hmm.
Like Doflamingo, Weevil.
Doflamingo is a huge loose end.
Doflamingo is one of
Yeah.
the biggest loose ends. And all of them, I
Yeah.
think, come back here somehow. I could see Doflamingo ending up with Crossgill. Or maybe even Blackbeard.
Yeah.
You know? Kizaru, you have stuff to say
Maybe
about.
I feel like it's way more likely it's Crosskill.
I would say so too. I mean, he could even be his own independent piece in this whole puzzle.
He honestly, that's
maybe more likely than
That's
him
more
aligning
likely,
himself
I
with
think, than
Buggy
him
the
joining
Clown.
anyone.
You know,
Yeah,
you've got
yeah.
Rob Lucci.
I have
You can
things to say
talk
about
about
Kizaru,
Kizaru. You're up.
right? Because thinking about Kizaru in this arc, I was thinking that Kizaru might switch sides during this arc. I think like you get the few little moments of Kizaru clearly being like upset over what he's having to do, like to Vegapunk in this section. Like you have the the cold ass line of "I should have brought darker shades" when he's fighting against the Vegapunks, and then you have when he's like knocked out on the boat of talking about how he's injured deeply, he's hurt deeply by what has happened here. And I think from a narrative perspective, it also makes a lot of sense for Kizaru to end up as not an admiral, whatever he may be, because he is still this like remnant of pre-time skip of the old guard who has not yet moved on. You know, you have a Kainu who has become fleet admiral, and you have Kuzan who has become a commander of the Whitebeard or of the Blackbeard pirates. And so, where does that leave Kizaru or Salino? I think that he has to join the Straw Hat Grand Fleet because one, what else? It does. I don't think anything else really makes sense. And also, I was thinking about the connections that the moon typically has in media to ice, and then thinking about how that would relate to the light guy aligning himself with uh, the sun god. And if Blackbeard is the moon and Luffy is the sun, you need ice and light to represent their two, two of their powers. And so I am fully on board. I believe that Kizaru will join the Grand Fleet at some point. In a similar way of what we were kind of talking about with Lucci, where after seeing what he has had to do, been forced to do by the world government, not being able to reconcile that with whatever his view of justice is, and having to leave, you know?
Yes. I don't know if I'm fully sold yet on the Kizaru idea, but I quite like it. I haven't had enough time to really think on it necessarily, but I think it's a really interesting idea to split the three original admirals across three different major factions, being the Straw Hats, the World
Right.
Government, and the Blackbeard Pirates. And how
And there is also the
they
idea
come
that
to
he
head.
could join like the revolution to be like, marine, pirate, and revolutionary as the three different factions that they're
Right.
split across. But I feel like I think it's more I think it's cooler if he joins the Grand Fleet
I think it's really fascinating. I
because
think it's interesting to think about
I
some of these
know that
characters.
Bonnie is gonna be, you know, at least aligned with Luffy, and so I think that, you know,
He may want to protect her, is sort of an idea. Go.
yeah, I think it'd be really interesting also. I still think he'll be on the Straw Hats, but I think it could also be that he joins the Revolution, to have that sort of be the like three powers of the world with the three admirals, or the three original admirals, like joining those sides with like pirates, revolutionaries, and Marines. But I do think it's still cooler if he joins the Straw Hats.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I want to talk about Kobe, right?
Yeah,
Because I think if anybody's gonna talk about Kobe, it's
this
got to
is
be
a
me.
big change from
This is a
Kobe.
big change from Kobe, and I really wonder why.
Yeah,
We get, Kobe in the
it's not
bed.
feels it feels like almost like mischaracterization.
It
But
feels like a
like
heel turn.
not that yeah, not that I think that this is bad writing. I think that this is good writing that we
I
just don't
think I
understand
think
yet.
we're going to learn something about why he's doing this.
Hmm.
But we flash back to Kobe getting the like chapter 2 of One Piece or whatever, like
Hmm.
about the King of the Pirates, and he says, "I have to stop your dream from being realized."
Mm.
And the only thing I think back to is I think back to a few chapters ago when the Vegapunk speech is going on, one of the parts of it.
Hmm.
Kobe says to the rest of his like marine friends, he's like, "You guys all know what this means, right?" And they're all like, "Yes." And I
Yeah.
don't know what it means. I don't know what he meant
I don't
by
know what it
that.
means.
So maybe there is something, maybe there's some marine propaganda or something they know about
Hmm.
and some reason that Kobe believes he has to stop Luffy from achieving his dream and getting the One Piece. Not that
Hmm.
actually, not that Kobe even knows what Luffy's real dream is, to be fair.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm really curious to see whether or not Kobe is going to stay heel turned forever or if we're going to get the moment where he comes around. Because obviously I am a bit of a Kobe Nakama believer, right?
Hmm.
I have been for a while. And I
Yeah.
really think that he is going to need to team up with Luffy at some point.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I think it like to have the parallel of Roger and Garp teaming up. I feel like you have to do a moment where Kobe
Kobe has this
and
heel
Luffy
turn
team up.
and
Yeah.
he teams up. Because Garp was
This is
not.
a
It's
really
really interesting.
this is like it makes me sad
It
almost.
does. It makes me
Like
sad because
why
I fucking
like
love Kobe, and
why
why would Kobe want to do this? What does
yeah,
Kobe
exactly. Like
know,
what has
or what
driven
has
Kobe
Kobe
to
been told about Luffy, or about the One
hmm
Piece, or about pirates that he believes so deeply that he must stop Luffy from getting the One Piece?
right,
Is it just that there is now the threat of the world being sunk? But surely Kobe would not believe that Luffy would want to sink the world, right?
right.
I don't know.
I have no idea. But like I'm not putting Kobe on fraud watch, but I think
I am almost there, and that hurts my soul because I am a deep Kobe
hmm
enjoyer, and I would love. I'm really interested in where this is going, but I'm worried about it, Oda. You got me worried about my boy.
yeah.
And then Vegapunk gets cut off, and his final statement, that is simply the truth. Joy Boy is, and then he's cut off.
And then he's done.
Or Joy Boy is his, and then, or his, might be saying history, cut
Hmm.
off, as Emmett gets obliterated by the tusk of the giant monster.
Yeah.
And as he's dying, he thinks to Joy Boy, or as he's being defeated.
Hmm.
You look so much like him. I'm sorry, Joy Boy. Sorry that I couldn't make you king. So what's your name? I'm Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will be king of the pirates. Hey, Luffy. Thank you for letting me hear that old familiar rhythm. Don't die, okay? I won't let you die. As he
Oh,
unties a rope and releases
the
Conqueror's
the
Hockey,
knot?
the knot, releasing Conqueror's Hockey 900 years in the making, maybe 800, of
Yeah.
Joy Boys, fucking obliterating the elders.
All of the elders. They are
Instantly,
sent
they are
packing.
obliterated and sent back to Marihua.
So
Is
I've seen people relate that. Wait a minute.
wait a minute, what?
Look at the elders in this panel.
What about them? I mean, they're little. Are they fucked up? They're tired.
Saturn's not there, dog.
Oh shit, Saturn isn't there. What the
Did
fuck?
he die?
Surely not. I did not
Did he
notice
get
this before.
killed? Wait. This is new development. Hold on. Wait. Wait.
No, no, he's right here, right?
Wait.
He's right here. Or no, this is this them turning back? He's right here though. Jake Garcia is right
He's
there.
right there.
And then we
Okay.
turn
So
the
why is he not
page
back?
and he's not here. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
think maybe I might just be that he didn't draw him in this page.
It
Oh,
might be.
put a pin in that. Put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that.
We can think about that later.
Right, sorry. I was talking about the knot. Because do you remember in Weatheria, way back in Nami's training arc, the like wind knots?
Oh, barely, yes.
Barely, right? Just a connection. I don't know what it means, but I've seen people be like, this is the same thing.
It seems like a little more than wind, but I think
Yeah.
the most
But
interesting
like
moment about
the
this,
ability to like store energy
yes, store
in a
energy in a
knot.
knot. That is similar.
Hmm.
To me, the part about this that gets me is not the fact that this Conquerors Hockey one shots all five elder or all four elders because one of them is already gone. It's
Hmm.
that it seems to, from miles upon miles away, have caused Emu pain.
Yeah, like Emu is
They
breathing heavily after
breathing
this
heavily,
moment.
and presumably Emu is the one screaming in pain.
Yeah.
Breathing heavily, Joy Boy. What the how?
Yeah.
What the fuck? How? How
What do
did
you mean?
Conqueror's Hockey so powerful that Emu could feel it from that far away?
Hmm.
Or is Emu in pain because they were transporting the elders or something, and so since they got injured, maybe Emu felt it?
Or is there some like intrinsic link between Joy Boy and Emu?
Emu. Also, I just want to point this out. We also know nothing about Emu's like attendant person. I
True.
think it's important to know that they exist. And that
Yeah.
they're always with Emu in the weird butterfly garden in Melania's boss room that they
Yeah.
hang out in. I guess we don't know if it's a he. Uh,
I still think Emu's a girl.
I think so too. I think it's more likely, but who knows? Emu could also
Yeah.
just be neither.
Yeah,
It's entirely
it could
possible.
be in it.
It's just so strange.
Yeah.
And we get our flashback to Joy Boy,
Hmm.
and he's got that same sort of
Standing on what looks like a poneglyph.
on what looks like a poneglyph. Yeah, a flat square. It's just so interesting. Of all the things, the first thing we get of Joy Boy ever is him saying that he'll be able to help Emmett long in the future. When the time is right, I'll save you from all the way in the past, just like I always do.
Mhm.
So strange. It's such a
So
to me.
strange.
It's so strange that this is the first we've
The
ever seen
first
of Joy Boy,
Joy Boy
ever,
flashback we've ever seen.
and it's him leaving a knot for Emmett. We didn't need to see
Hmm.
this scene. I don't really think
Right.
this easily could have been even. This could have even just been words in Emmett's head,
Hmm.
just saying, just like when the time is right, you'll save me. I hope you don't. I hope I don't get lonely. He, Joy Boy. You know. So the choice to show, I guess, show in quotes, Joy Boy
Right.
in this way is really interesting to me. And I wonder if we're gonna
Yeah.
get. It makes me wonder if we're gonna get a full Joy Boy flashback eventually, like a full on one.
Dude, we have to, right?
I
We
mean,
have to,
surely we
right?
have to, right?
Please.
If we got a
Please,
Kozuki
Oda.
Odin one, surely for Joy Boy, right?
Hmm.
But maybe it'll be something similar to how we got Odin's backstory, and that give us a glimpse of Goldie Roger. Maybe we'll see something similar where we get like, I don't know, so just out of an example of a character we know, like a Zunatia backstory, and we get a glimpse of Joy Boy and
Yeah.
who he
Right.
was.
Hmm.
Um, and as we close out this arc, we learn a bit about what really happened and how we got here. So we
Hmm.
flash back to the Stella and Pythagoras and Shaka discovering that Lilith is evil, or not that Lilith is evil. I mean, Lilith is evil technically, but Lilith's not the
Yeah, they
traitor.
knew that actually. They knew that.
They knew that actually. I love the joke though that Vegapunk is constantly like, Lilith's the traitor, isn't it? It's because I made her evil. And they discover that York is evil and that the world government knows they've been studying the Void Century,
Hmm.
and so they make their whole thing and they set it to trigger upon his death, and then they wipe all their memories so it doesn't get synced.
Yep.
It's so they create a void fortnight of 2 weeks gone. Oh, it's so interesting.
It's so sick, dude. Ah.
The utter disaster that awaits just around the corner is none other than our ultimate triumph. And so, with that squared away, it's off to Elbath. Oh,
Dude.
I'm so excited! I'm so
Oh
excited
my god,
because
this section fucking
I'm
ruled.
so
Oh
excited.
my
Actually,
god, I love
to
this
to, to
shit.
put off one last note before we gush about what's gonna happen next, I wanna read these lines from Vegapunk.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Certainly not, but I feel like my death might cause something to happen. Sure will. A bunch of people will be upset. I can't just let you die. Pretty please. And one other thing. When it comes to the One Piece, I want your crew to be the ones who get it. As the
Oof.
ugh, I'm so excited for
I'm
Elbath,
so
man.
excited.
Holy
Oh my god.
shit.
We've been waiting so long for
We've been
this.
waiting so long. I remember way back when I was in Little Garden and Egghead was not over yet. I remember you
Yeah.
saying, I really hope we get to go to Elbath someday.
Yeah.
I remember that from months ago, and I said, oh, that'd be so cool. I'd love to go see Elbath.
Yeah, back when I still thought that we were going to the moon after Egghead.
More
I
reasonable
was
than
I
Elbath,
was
apparently.
I was like, "Oh, it's a science island, right? So to escape what's going on here, we're going to have to get on a spaceship, the Vegapunk built, and go to
Go
the
to the
moon."
moon and meet Eneru. I am
But
so
no,
excited for
we're going
Elbath.
to fucking Elbaf.
And Elbath holds.
I know like a few tiny little spoilers from Elbaf. I
I
know that,
know like
you know.
one spoiler, and that's it, and it's not a big one.
Hmm. Yeah.
And there's so
Um,
much potential for this upcoming arc. Usopp,
yeah.
Robin,
Robin,
Luffy, you
the
know,
Zoro.
Zoro, and maybe even like I was talking like we had the brief mention you and me about earlier this week. I was talking about my theory that I still hold that we need to have, Luffy needs to get to the moon and then Brook needs to get to the sun. And where do they talk about the sun god but Elbaf? So maybe there's something with Brook here. If we learn more about the
Hmm.
sun god, maybe there's something with Brook. And then there's like the potential of if all the stuff that Vegapunk learned is here at Elbaf, what are we
Right.
gonna
If all the
learn?
books, if all the books from
From Ohana are here at
Ohara,
Elbaf, what is Robin gonna
what is
learn?
Robin gonna learn,
Are
and what
we
is she
gonna
gonna
learn
tell
Are
us?
we gonna learn the truth of the D in Elbaf? Is it gonna happen?
Is it gonna finally happen?
Surely not, right? Like it can't. But how much are we gonna learn? What could we learn that
Yeah.
Vegapunk didn't already tell us? It's so exciting. I'm so
It's
excited about Elbaf.
yeah.
I don't really have a lot of theories about what's gonna happen in Elbaf. I
No,
want to
I mean,
check.
I think we've talked a little bit about what we what we think might happen in terms of like crew dynamics and like
Yeah,
stuff like that,
my
but
I think my biggest hope is just that the Elbaf is more of an arc focused on the crew, whereas because this arc was
yeah.
so focused on the world and Bonnie and Kuma and Vegapunk, I would like if the next
Hmm.
arc lets the crew take a forefront again,
Yeah.
um, and give them a big arc. So I really hope we get that for Usopp because we haven't
Yeah.
really had a big
There's also
super character focused arc since like Whole Cake, and
there's
Wano
also
was too,
a
but
good chance that we learn more about Shanks here because
that's
Shanks
true.
was on Elbaf
It was on
until just
Elbaf,
recently.
and they're friends with Shanks.
Yeah.
We might learn more about Kid. He might be washed up on the shore somewhere. Or maybe he's
Right.
just dead. You know?
Yeah.
Who knows?
But yeah, we are,
There's a
and this is
lot
gonna be the
to be
last
excited about.
section before we are caught up.
The last section before we are caught up, and there is no new One Piece to
Hmm.
read, and I don't know what to do with my life. The last half year has been One Piece almost every week for me.
Yeah.
There was like, we took a break week in Wano at the end.
And we took a break, last
We
week.
took a break last week because I was sick.
Hmm.
And then we took like accidentally sort of a pseudo break on like Egghead Part 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And outside of that, it's just been nonstop One Piece, and I don't know what to do with myself. I might slowly reread stuff because I want to see
Yeah.
connections now that I know things. So that might be part of what I do.
Hmm.
But I don't
But I
know. It's
mean,
exciting. It's a new horizon. I'm very
Yeah.
excited to be reading it weekly and experiencing the roller coaster ride as
Hmm.
it happens.
I guess for anyone curious who's watching this, we're not going to be reading any leaks.
No, I have
So
no
if
interest. I'd rather
depending on when
die.
we record and when those leaks start to come out, we might be like maybe we'll be a week behind or something,
Maybe.
depending
I
on
don't
when the
know.
shit gets posted and when leaks come out or
And
whatever
and
from
what shit gets
what you
posted.
guys might know.
Yeah. A lot of
But
it's up in the air because we haven't decided stuff yet, which I guess is a peeling
yeah,
back of the curtain moment, but who cares? It's the end of the video. You
yeah,
didn't make it to the end of two. If you made it to 2 hours and 45 minutes into the video, you deserve to get the curtain peeled back a little bit, I think.
yeah. And also, if you made
Um,
it 2 hours into the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button,
yeah, because you like One
uh,
Piece and you made it far enough to
leave
like
a
One Piece.
comment, leave it a comment about how Zoro
Gets
couldn't
low
defeat
diffed
Base
by
Form
base
Lucci.
form Lucci.
uh, yeah.
Leave a comment. If it makes Misfit cry, we'll put a heart on it.
Hmm.
Uh, Subscribe, hit the bell, do the YouTube stuff. You're this isn't your first YouTube video. At least I hope it isn't. You know what the YouTube stuff is. You know that it helps creators. We'd love it if
Hmm.
you'd press those buttons and stuff and share it with your friends and do all the YouTube things.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
go subscribe to Misfit's personal channel.
your personal channel. You mean my Vlad's personal
I'm
channel?
not.
I
Oh
made
wait, Lad's personal
yeah,
channel.
my personal channel. We're going to be doing some streaming. I'm going to be doing some streaming over there, hopefully for Xenoblade very soon. I've played Xenoblade.
Yeah.
I'm going to be puppeting Misfit through it because I know that I'll never get him to play it physically. But if I can
Nope.
puppet him through the story and force him to engage with it critically, I know I can trust him watching a YouTube playthrough if I'm there and I force him to do discussions and think about the story. So
Yeah.
that'll be
So look
there. I
up
might put a link or
search
something in
up
the
Greatest Lad
description
on YouTube.
or in the
Yeah, we'll
comments.
put it
I'll
in the
put a link
comments or the
probably.
yeah.
There'll be a link somewhere. Maybe it'll be in like the
Mhm.
YouTube channel description or something. I don't know. I'll find a place for
Yeah.
it. So go
Yeah,
check that out
subscribe there
because that'll
too.
be starting soon. Probably, I mean, who
Hmm.
knows? Depending on you're watching this, it may have already started.
Yeah.
Um, I think
I
unless
think with
there's
all that,
any more predictions you have for LBAF, you want to put down any crazy. Oh shit! You haven't said the forbidden prediction.
oh, I haven't said the
I
forbidden
almost
prediction.
forgot. You got to do that.
Um, so my forbidden prediction is that so there's if you're in the One Piece community, you probably know that there's a theory that the pawpaw fruit is going to end up on someone in the Straw Hat crew. It has been a theory for a long time. And so the forbidden prediction here is that Kuma has to officially die for that to happen, obviously. The if you look at what the pawpaw fruit looks like back in the flashback, it looks very circular and almost like a citrus type fruit.
Like some sort of
And what
tangerine.
do we have on the ship? And so the theory that I have concocted is that uh, the pawpaw fruit is going to reincarnate into one of Nami's tangerines and then will be eaten by Vivi.
And why Vivi?
Because I think because the theory that I subscribe to is that Lily was the previous wielder of the pawpaw fruit, which is how she spread the poneglyphs across the world. And so I think that Vivi will now have to be the
Inherit that
future
will.
wielder of the pawpaw fruit, inherit that will. The reason it's the forbidden theory is because it's gonna make us really sad
Yeah, I'm gonna be
when
really
Kuma
sad when
officially
Kuma officially
dies
dies, and I will be inconsolable.
and Bonnie
Uh,
has to watch it happen.
Surely not. Surely she could not be. She could
She's
be in
gonna
another
watch
room.
it.
She could be in another room. Surely.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Now
yeah,
that that's
that
said,
is the
we didn't
forbidden
forget the
theory.
forbidden theory. It's there, right at the tail end. And with all that,
Yeah,
I
this is why
think
you always watch to the end of the
this is why
video
you
because
watch
you
the end of
get
the
the
video.
things that we forget
If
about.
you had stopped watching after the YouTube plug stuff, you would have missed the forbidden theory, and that's on you,
Yeah.
dear viewer,
All
who's
right.
still watching the video, I guess. All right. With that all
We're
said,
gonna get out of here.
we're gonna get out of your hair. Cheers.
Cheers.